The moon looked wrong tonight. Too large and too red. Its crimson light covered the snow around Moonfang Pack like blood on white silk. Selena pulled her dark cloak tighter around her body while cold wind moved through the crowded courtyard. Servants carried lanterns between giant bonfires while wolves laughed and celebrated the Blood Moon Festival. It was the most important night of the year. The night the moon goddess revealed fated mates. The night destinies changed forever. Selena kept her head down as several higher-ranking she-wolves walked past her. "Move, Omega," one of them said coldly. Selena stepped aside without speaking. She was already used to it. Invisible. Forgettable. Weak. At least that was what everyone believed. Suddenly a strange pain spread through her chest. Her breathing stopped for a second. The world around her blurred. Then whispers filled her mind. Soft voices. Ancient voices. Dangerous voices. "Wake up." Selena froze. The voice did not sound human. Another sharp pain hit her head, forcing her to grab the stone wall beside her. Silver light flickered beneath her skin. Only for a moment. Then it disappeared. Her heart pounded violently. No, not again. It had been happening more often lately. Strange dreams. Voices in the dark. Symbols appearing on her skin before vanishing by morning. Selena swallowed nervously and hurried away from the crowded courtyard before someone noticed her panic. The deeper she walked into the forest, surrounding the pack, lands, the quieter the world became. Snow crunched beneath her boots. The freezing air should have made her cold. Instead, warmth spread slowly through her veins. It felt like fire waking up after centuries of sleep. Then every wolf in the territory began howling. Selena stopped walking immediately. The sound echoed through the mountains like a warning from something ancient. Then she felt it. A powerful presence. Dark and ancient. Someone had arrived. The wind moved violently through the trees, carrying a scent that made her entire body shake. Smoke, winter, danger, and something else. Something that wrapped itself around her soul. The mate bond. Selena's eyes widened in fear. This could not be happening. Deep inside the forest, silver eyes suddenly opened in the darkness, watching her carefully, waiting for her. And for the first time in her life, Selena felt truly afraid. Kale Draven stepped out of the black armored vehicle while snow fell heavily around the Moonfang gates. The moment his boots touched the ground, every wolf lowered their head. The Alpha King had returned. Tall, dangerous, untouchable. Kale's cold silver eyes moved across the courtyard while warriors surrounded him from every side. Blood still stained parts of his dark military coat from the wall in the Eastern Territories. 3 rival packs had fallen beneath him in less than a month. No one dared challenge the beast of Black Hollow anymore. But tonight something felt wrong. His wolf was restless beneath his skin. Agitated. Hungry. Kale ignored it as Beta Damien approached him carefully. "The festival already started," Damien said quietly. Kale nodded once without emotion. Then he stopped walking. A strange scent suddenly reached him through the cold air. His entire body froze instantly. His wolf slammed violently against his chest. There, the scent moved through the crowd like fire spreading across dry ground. Soft, wild, addictive. Kale's breathing became dangerously slow. "Mate," the word echoed violently inside his mind. Impossible. His eyes searched the crowded courtyard immediately. Then he saw her, standing near the far stone archway. Dark cloak, snow falling through her black hair, wide frightened eyes staring directly at him. The world around Kale suddenly disappeared. Noise vanished. Voices vanished. Nothing existed except her. His wolf growled possessively inside him. "Mine," Kale felt something dark twist painfully inside his chest. Because the woman standing before him looked nothing like the lunar destiny should have chosen for the Alpha King. She looked fragile, quiet, human almost. But her scent drove his wolf completely insane. Selena took a small step backward. Fear flashed across her face. Kale noticed it immediately. Then something impossible happened. For one brief second, silver light flashed beneath her skin. Kale's eyes narrowed dangerously. Witch magic. His wolf became even more violent. The cold northern wind moved between them while the mate bond tightened like invisible chains. Neither of them looked away. Not even for a second. Then Selena turned and disappeared into the forest. Kale moved before thinking. Alpha, Damien called after him. But Kale was already walking toward the trees. Toward her. Toward the woman fate had just tied to his soul. Selena ran deeper into the forest while cold air burned against her skin. Her heart would not stop racing. The mate bond still pulsed violently inside her chest. She could still feel him. The Alpha King. Every step she took only made the connection stronger. This was impossible. Fated mates did not happen to girls like her. Not to forgotten amigas. Not to someone hiding dangerous secrets beneath her skin. Branches cracked softly behind her. He was following her. Selena stopped moving beside an old frozen river and tried to calm her breathing. Snow fell quietly around the dark forest. Then his scent surrounded her again. Smoke, winter, danger. Kale stepped out from the shadows between the trees. His silver eyes locked onto her instantly. Selena felt frozen beneath his stare. The Alpha King looked even more terrifying up close. Tall, powerful, and completely unreadable. Dark tattoos disappeared beneath the collar of his black shirt while snow rested against his broad shoulders. His wolf watched her carefully through his eyes. Hungry, possessive, dangerously focused. Neither of them spoke for several seconds. The mate bond filled the silence between them. Kale moved closer slowly. Selena's pulse quickened immediately. You ran from me, he said quietly. His deep voice sent heat through her entire body. Selena forced herself to stay calm. I did not know I was supposed to stay. Kale stared at her carefully. Every instinct inside him screamed to touch her. Claim her. Keep her close. But something felt wrong. He could sense power hiding beneath her skin. Ancient power. Dark power. Then the wind shifted again. Silver light flickered briefly beneath Selena's fingers. Kale saw it immediately. His expression darkened. What are you? He asked coldly. The question cut deeper than Selena expected. Fear moved through her chest. I do not know. Kale stepped even closer. Now only inches separated them. Selena could hear his breathing, feel his body heat. The mate bond became almost unbearable. Kale slowly lifted his hand toward her face. For one dangerous moment, Selena thought he might kiss her. But before his fingers touched her skin, his entire body suddenly tensed. Pain flashed across his expression. The curse. His wolf growled violently inside him. Images filled his mind instantly. Blood, death, his father standing over his dead mate during blood moon madness. Kale stepped backward immediately. His jaw tightened hard. No, he said quietly. Selena looked at him in confusion. Kale forced himself to look away from her. If you are smart, you will stay away from me. The coldness in his voice shattered something inside her chest. Selena swallowed painfully. Then without another word she turned and walked away into the darkness. Kale watched her disappear between the trees. Every instinct inside him screamed to go after her. But he stayed frozen beside the river. Because for the first time in years the Alpha King was afraid. Not of war, not of death, but of what he might become if he allowed himself to love her. Selena did not stop walking until the Lights of Moonfang Pack disappeared completely behind her. Snow continued falling heavily through the dark forest while cold wind moved through the trees. But she barely felt any of it. Kale's words repeated painfully inside her mind. Stay away from me. The mate bond still connected them, and that only made everything worse. She could feel his emotions buried beneath the coldness. Fear, pain, restraint. But none of it changed the truth. He did not want her. Selena wrapped her arms around herself while tears burned behind her eyes. This was why she had spent her entire life hiding. Nothing good ever came from being noticed. Suddenly another sharp pain tore through her chest. She gasped and fell to her knees in the snow. The air around her changed instantly. The forest became unnaturally silent. Then strange silver symbols slowly appeared across her hands. Selena stared at them in shock. The markings glowed brighter beneath her skin, while heat spread violently through her body. Magic. Real magic. Fear gripped her chest. No, she whispered. The glowing symbols moved higher along her arms like living fire. Then the ground beneath her began shaking. Trees moved violently around her, as dark wind exploded through the forest. Voices filled her mind again. Ancient voices. Wake up! Wake up! Wake up! Selena covered her ears desperately. But the whispers only became louder. Pain crashed through her skull, forcing a scream from her throat. Silver energy burst outward from her body in a violent wave. The snow around her melted instantly. Branches snapped. The frozen river nearby cracked loudly beneath the pressure of her magic. Then everything suddenly stopped. Silence filled the forest once again. Selena collapsed into the snow, breathing hard. Her entire body trembled violently. What was happening to her? A soft sound moved through the darkness behind her. Footsteps. Selena forced herself to look up. A woman dressed completely in black stood between the trees, watching her carefully. Long dark hair moved with the wind while strange purple symbols glowed beneath her eyes. Not a wolf. A witch. The woman slowly stepped closer. Then, to Selena's shock, she lowered herself onto one knee. My queen, she whispered softly. Selena stared at her in confusion. The woman lifted her eyes slowly. They finally found you. Selena stared at the woman, kneeling before her while cold wind moved through the destroyed forest. Nothing made sense anymore. Magic, voices, the mate bond. And now this strange woman calling her queen. Selena slowly stood from the snow, even though her legs still shook. You have the wrong person, she said quietly. The dark-haired woman lifted her gaze calmly. I never make mistakes. Her voice sounded smooth and dangerous. Ancient almost. Selena noticed the glowing purple marks beneath the woman's eyes more clearly now. Witch markings. Real witch markings. Fear moved through Selena's chest again. Witches were supposed to be dead. Destroyed centuries ago during the Great Burning. At least that was what everyone believed. The woman rose slowly to her feet. My name is Raven Ashbourne, she said. Selena took a cautious step backward. Raven noticed immediately. You do not need to fear me. Before Selena could answer, another violent wave of pain crashed through her head. Images flashed across her mind instantly. Fire, screaming, silver magic exploding into the night sky. A woman with silver hair standing inside burning ruins. Then blood-covered hands reaching toward her. Selena gasped and nearly collapsed again. Raven caught her arm quickly. The moment their skin touched, silver energy sparked violently between them. Raven's eyes widened in shock. It is really you, she whispered. Selena pulled away immediately. What is happening to me? For the first time, Raven's calm expression softened slightly. Your magic is returning. Selena shook her head. I do not have magic. Raven looked directly into her eyes. You were never human, Selena. The forest became silent again. Even the wind seemed to stop moving. Selena felt fear crawling slowly beneath her skin. Raven stepped closer carefully. 300 years ago, the most powerful witch in history died during the war between wolves and witches. Selena's breathing became uneven. Why are you telling me this? Raven's purple eyes glowed faintly in the darkness. Because that witch was you. Selena froze completely. No, you were the Silver Witch Queen. No, you ruled kingdoms. No, you loved the Alpha King before the war destroyed everything. Selena stepped backward violently. This is insane. Raven watched her carefully. The blood moon awakened your soul tonight. Selena shook her head again, trying desperately to breathe normally. This could not be real. None of this could be real. Then another memory suddenly flashed through her mind. Silver hair moving through fire. Strong arms wrapping around her waist. A deep male voice whispering softly against her ear. Mine. Selena's heart stopped. Because the voice belonged to Kale. Kale stood alone inside his private chamber while snowstorms crashed against the castle windows. His wolf refused to calm down. Hours had passed since Selena disappeared into the forest, but the mate bond still burned through his chest like fire. He could still feel her, afraid, confused, and far too close to danger. Kale poured another glass of whiskey, but the sharp taste did nothing to quiet the storm inside him. His wolf paced violently beneath his skin. Go after her. Kale ignored it. He had made the right choice. Distance was safer for her. The blood moon curse destroyed everything it touched. He had seen it with his own eyes as a child. Blood covering the floor. His father's claws tearing through flesh. His mother's body lying lifeless beneath the red moon. Kale closed his eyes tightly. No woman would ever suffer that fate because of him again. A knock suddenly echoed against the chamber doors. Enter. Beta Damien walked inside carefully. Something about his expression immediately felt wrong. There is a problem, Damien said quietly. Kale looked up slowly. What happened? Damien hesitated for a second. Then he spoke. The northern border guards felt a magic surge in the forest. Kale's body instantly tensed. Magic. His mind immediately went to Selena. How strong? He asked coldly. Damien swallowed carefully. Strong enough to shake the territory. Silence filled the room. Kale slowly placed the glass down. Every instinct inside him screamed the same thing now. Selena was connected to this. Damien watched him carefully. There is more. Kale lifted his eyes. The witches may not be extinct after all. The air inside the chamber became dangerously cold. Kale stood slowly to his feet. His wolf growled violently beneath his skin. Witches. The one thing capable of destroying every kingdom if they returned to power. And somehow his mate was standing in the center of it all. Kale walked toward the massive window overlooking the snowy mountains. Far in the distance, thunder rolled across the dark sky. Then for one brief second, silver light flashed deep within the forest. Kale's jaw tightened immediately. Selena. Damien stepped closer carefully. What are your orders, Alpha? Kale remained silent for several seconds. Then finally, he spoke. Prepare the warriors. His voice sounded cold enough to freeze blood. We are going into the forest, because no matter how dangerous, Selena truly was one thing remained stronger than fear. The mate bond. And Kale already knew he would burn the entire world before allowing anyone else to reach her first. Selena sat silently beside the fire while Raven moved around the small cabin hidden deep within the mountains. The place smelled of herbs, ancient books, and smoke. Nothing about it felt normal. Outside, snowstorms covered the forest, but inside the cabin, strange silver candles burned, without melting. Magic existed here. Real magic. And somehow Selena was part of it. She stared down at the glowing symbols still covering parts of her hands. They had faded slightly, but were still visible beneath her skin. Every time she looked at them, fear tightened inside her chest. Raven placed a cup of dark tea in front of her. "You need to drink." Selena barely touched it. "My whole life I thought I was just an Omega." Raven sat across from her quietly. "You were hidden for a reason." Selena lifted her eyes slowly. "What reason?" Raven remained silent for a moment. Then she finally answered. "To protect you from the Alpha bloodlines." Kale's face instantly appeared in Selena's mind. The way he looked at her beside the frozen river. The way his voice changed when he spoke to her. And the pain in his eyes when he pushed her away. The mate bond pulsed painfully again. Raven noticed immediately. "The Alpha feels it too." Selena looked away quickly. "He does not want me." Raven almost smiled slightly. "The mate bond does not care what he wants." Before Selena could answer, sudden footsteps echoed outside the cabin. Raven stood immediately. Her expression darkened. "They found us." Fear moved through Selena instantly. "Who?" Raven's purple eyes glowed faintly. "Wolves." The cabin shook violently as growls echoed through the storm outside. Selena's heartbeat accelerated. Several dark figures surrounded the cabin beneath the snow. Moonfang warriors. Raven moved toward the door, calmly while shadows twisted around her fingers like living smoke. "Stay behind me." The front door suddenly exploded open. Cold wind crashed inside. Warriors flooded the entrance with claws extended and glowing eyes locked onto Selena. Then a deep, familiar voice cut through the chaos. "Enough." Every wolf instantly stepped aside. Kale Draven entered the cabin. Snow covered his black coat while silver eyes searched the room immediately, searching for her. The moment his gaze landed on Selena, the mate bond slammed violently through both of them. Heat rushed through Selena's body instantly. Kale's wolf pushed dangerously close to the surface. Then his eyes shifted toward Raven. The temperature inside the cabin dropped immediately. "A witch," Kale said coldly. Raven stepped protectively in front of Selena. "And an Alpha cursed by blood." The tension between them became deadly. Warriors waited silently for Kale's command. But Kale barely noticed anyone except Selena. Alive, safe, still his. Then his eyes dropped toward the glowing silver marks on Selena's hands. His entire expression darkened, because now there was no denying the truth. His mate carried ancient witch magic inside her veins. The cabin became completely silent. Snowstorms crashed outside while tension filled the small room like poison. Kale stared at the silver marks glowing beneath Selena's skin. Ancient witch magic. Real witch magic. His wolf reacted instantly. Not with fear. With obsession. "Mine." Kale forced the feeling down immediately. Raven stepped slightly closer to Selena as shadows moved around her fingers. Protective. Dangerous. Kale noticed every movement. "You have 1 minute to explain why my warriors found a witch hiding inside Moonfang territory," he said coldly. Raven held his gaze without fear. "And you have 1 minute to explain why the Alpha King is hunting his own mate." The air inside the cabin froze. Several warriors exchanged nervous looks behind Kale. No one dared speak. Kale's expression darkened immediately. Selena felt the mate bond twist painfully again. Raven did not stop. "You feel it just as strongly as she does." Kale finally looked at Selena again. The connection between them hit instantly. Heat, need, possession. It almost stole the air from Selena's lungs. Kale stepped closer slowly. Every instinct inside her screamed to move toward him. Instead, she stayed frozen beside the fire. His silver eyes moved across her face carefully, like he was trying to understand something impossible. Then his voice lowered dangerously. Did you know what you were? Selena swallowed hard. No. For the first time, uncertainty flickered across Cale's face. You believed her. Raven crossed her arms calmly. She remembers nothing from her past life yet. Cale's jaw tightened. Past life. Even hearing those words sounded wrong. Witches should not return from death. Nothing this powerful should exist again. Then Selena spoke quietly. You knew. Cale looked at her immediately. You sensed something beside the river. Pain moved through Selena's chest. That is why you pushed me away. Cale remained silent. Because she was right. The curse inside him reacted violently to her magic. And if the blood moon madness consumed him completely one day, he could destroy her. Just like his father destroyed his mother. Cale stepped even closer until only inches separated them again. His scent surrounded Selena instantly. Smoke, winter, danger. The mate bond became unbearable at this distance. You should not be near me, Cale said quietly. Selena lifted her eyes to his. But you still came after me. Neither of them moved. The entire room disappeared around them. Then suddenly one of the warriors outside shouted loudly. Alpha. Cale turned instantly. A terrified warrior appeared in the doorway, breathing heavily. There is movement near the eastern forest. Fear flashed across his face. Something killed 2 patrol wolves. Silence filled the cabin. Then the warrior spoke again. It was not human. Raven's expression changed immediately. Dark recognition filled her eyes. Selena noticed it. You know what it is, she whispered. Raven looked toward the storm outside. Then she answered softly. The dark creatures are waking up again. And for the first time, even Cale looked concerned. The ride back to Moonfang Castle was silent. Selena sat inside the black armored vehicle beside Cale while snowstorms covered the mountain roads outside. Neither of them spoke. But the mate bond filled every second between them. Cale sat across from her with one arm, resting against the door while his silver eyes remained fixed on the dark forest outside. Alert. Dangerous. His warriors followed behind them in separate vehicles, while Raven remained under heavy watch beside Beta Damien. Selena could still feel the tension between Cale and Raven. Wolves and witches were never supposed to stand on the same side. Not after the war centuries ago. The car suddenly hit rough ice, causing Selena to lose balance slightly. Before she could fall, Cale's hand instantly wrapped around her waist. Heat exploded through her body the second he touched her. Cale froze too. The mate bond reacted violently. Selena's breathing became uneven. Cale's grip tightened for one dangerous moment before he slowly released her. Neither of them looked away. The air inside the vehicle became painfully warm. Then Cale finally spoke. You should not have left the territory alone. His voice remained calm. But Selena still heard the anger beneath it. I did not know your warriors were hunting me. Cale's jaw tightened immediately. No one was hunting you. Selena almost laughed bitterly. You arrived with armed wolves. Because something dangerous is moving through the forests. Selena crossed her arms quietly. And you think it is connected to me? Cale remained silent for several seconds. Then he answered honestly. I do not know what you are connected to yet. The words hurt more than Selena expected. Cale noticed her expression immediately. His wolf reacted instantly to her pain. Protect her. Claim her. Cale forced the instincts down violently. He could not afford weakness now. Not with dark creatures appearing near the borders. Not with witches returning after centuries. And definitely not with the moon, goddess tying him to a woman, powerful enough to destroy kingdoms. The castle gates finally appeared through the storm. Massive black walls rose above the snow-covered mountains while glowing fires burned beside the entrance. Moonfang Castle. Cold, ancient, feared across every northern territory. The vehicles stopped. Warriors immediately surrounded the entrance as Cale stepped outside first. Snow moved violently around him while his wolf remained dangerously close to the surface. Selena followed carefully behind him. The moment pack members noticed the silver marks beneath her skin, whispers spread through the courtyard instantly. Fear, suspicion, hatred. She felt every stare. Kale noticed too. His expression darkened immediately. Then one female voice suddenly cut through the crowd. "What is she doing here?" Selena turned. A beautiful blonde woman stood near the castle stairs wearing dark silver clothing marked with royal lunar symbols. Cold blue eyes locked directly onto Selena. Possessive anger flashed across her face when she looked at Kale. Selena felt her stomach tighten instantly. Kale's former chosen Luna, Lady Naira Voss, and judging by the hatred in her eyes, she already knew exactly what Selena was to him. Naira Voss walked slowly down the castle stairs while snow moved around her silver cloak. Every wolf in the courtyard lowered their gaze respectfully as she approached. Beautiful, elegant, dangerous. Selena immediately understood why the northern packs wanted her beside Kale. She looked every bit like a future queen. Naira stopped directly in front of Selena and studied her carefully. Her blue eyes moved over the silver marks beneath Selena's skin with obvious disgust. "A witch," Naira said coldly. The courtyard became silent again. Kale stepped beside Selena instantly. Protective instinct. Naira noticed immediately. So did everyone else. The mate bond pulsed sharply between Kale and Selena. Naira's expression darkened for one brief second before she forced calmness back onto her face. "You brought a witch into Moonfang Castle during Blood Moon season," she said quietly to Kale. "There are dead patrol wolves near our borders and this is your decision." Kale's silver eyes turned cold. "What's your tone?" The warning in his voice was enough to make nearby warriors tense immediately. But Naira did not back away. Selena realized then that Naira feared almost nothing. "Pack leaders are already questioning your judgment," Naira continued. "And now they will see this." Her eyes shifted back towards Selena, like she was something filthy, something dangerous. Selena felt anger burn beneath her skin for the first time all night. The silver marks on her hands glowed faintly. Kale noticed immediately. So did Naira. Interesting. Naira stepped slightly closer to Selena. "Tell me which," she said softly. "Did you cast magic on the Alpha King? Or is he truly foolish enough to desire you willingly?" Several wolves nearby lowered their heads nervously. No one spoke to the Alpha's mate like that, even unofficially. Kale's wolf growled violently beneath his skin. "Enough." Before Selena could answer, Kale stepped forward, placing himself directly between them. His voice turned deadly calm. "Leave." Naira stared at him in disbelief. "Kale, I said leave." The authority in his voice echoed across the courtyard instantly. Naira's jaw tightened hard. For one dangerous second, Selena thought she might openly challenge him. But instead, Naira slowly stepped backward. Her cold eyes moved towards Selena one final time. "This kingdom does not belong to witches anymore." Then she turned and disappeared inside the castle. Silence remained behind her. Kale slowly exhaled while trying to control the rage inside him. Selena looked up at him carefully. "You did not have to defend me." Kale's eyes locked onto hers immediately. "Yes, I did." The answer came too fast. Too honest. Heat rushed through Selena's chest again. Kale realized his mistake instantly and looked away. "Damien will take you to a guarded room for tonight." Guarded. Not protected. Selena noticed the difference. Kale stepped closer, lowering his voice enough that only she could hear him. "Until we understand what is happening, you stay inside the castle." Selena crossed her arms quietly. "And if I refuse?" Kale looked directly into her eyes. The mate bond tightened painfully between them. "You will not refuse. The possessiveness in his voice sent heat through her entire body. Then without another word, Kale turned and walked toward the castle entrance, leaving Selena standing in the snow while every wolf around them watched carefully. Because now the entire kingdom could see it clearly. The Alpha King was already losing control where his mate was concerned. Selena followed Beta Damien through the massive halls of Moonfang Castle while warriors watched her carefully from every corner. The castle felt cold and ancient. Black stone walls stretched endlessly beneath silver chandeliers while enormous wolf symbols covered the floors and ceilings. Everything about this place screamed power and danger. Selena could still feel the stairs following her. Witch, the word practically echoed through the halls. Damien finally stopped outside a large wooden door guarded by 2 warriors. "This will be your room for now," he said calmly. Selena noticed the hesitation in his eyes. Even Damien did not fully trust her. "Guarded room," she said quietly. Damien sighed softly. "The Alpha is trying to protect you." Selena looked away. "From who?" Damien remained silent for a second. Then he answered honestly. "Everyone." The door opened slowly. Selena stepped inside. The room was far larger than she expected. Dark fireplace, massive bed, tall windows overlooking the snowy mountains. But despite the luxury, the room still felt like a cage. The heavy doors closed behind her immediately. Locked. Selena walked toward the window while snowstorms moved violently outside. The mate bond still connected her to Kale even from different parts of the castle. She could feel his emotions faintly beneath the surface. Anger, stress, possessive instinct, and something darker. Fear. A sudden knock interrupted her thoughts. Before Selena could answer, the door opened again. Raven entered quietly escorted by 2 warriors. The moment the guards left, Raven looked around the room with obvious amusement. "A royal prison," she said softly. Selena crossed her arms. "This is not funny." Raven moved closer to the fireplace calmly. "The Alpha King is terrified of you." Selena frowned immediately. "He does not look terrified." Raven almost smiled. "That is because powerful men hide fear beneath control." Selena sat slowly near the fire. Everything felt too overwhelming. Magic, witches, the mate bond, Kale. Nothing in her life made sense anymore. Raven studied her carefully. "You feel connected to him already." Selena looked into the flames silently. "Every time he gets close, it feels like I cannot breathe properly." Raven nodded once. "The mate bond strengthens quickly during blood moon season." Selena hesitated for a second. "Why does he keep pushing me away if he feels it too?" Raven's expression darkened slightly. "The blood moon curse." Selena lifted her eyes immediately. "You know about it?" "The entire witch world knew about it centuries ago." Raven moved closer, lowering her voice. "The Alpha bloodline was cursed after the war between wolves and witches." Selena felt unease crawl through her chest. "What kind of curse?" Raven looked directly at her. "When an Alpha King falls completely in love, the curse eventually drives him mad." The fire crackled softly between them. Selena suddenly remembered the fear in Kale's eyes beside the frozen river. Not fear of her. Fear for her. Raven continued quietly. "The stronger the bond becomes, the more dangerous he becomes." Selena swallowed hard. "And if the curse takes over completely?" Raven remained silent for too long. That alone gave Selena her answer. Then suddenly a deep growl echoed somewhere far below the castle. The sound shook the walls. Selena froze instantly, because she recognized it. Kale's Wolf. And judging by the violent sound of it, the Alpha King was completely losing control tonight. Kale slammed his fist against the stone wall hard enough to crack it. The underground training chamber shook from the impact while several warriors standing nearby immediately stepped backward. His wolf was furious tonight. Restless. Possessive. Out of control. Kale paced across the chamber, breathing heavily while darkness moved through his silver eyes. Every instinct inside him screamed the same thing. Go to her. The mate bond burned painfully beneath his skin. He could feel Selena somewhere above him inside the castle. Awake, emotional. Too close. Kale dragged a hand through his dark hair, trying to control himself. But the moment he remembered Nira insulting Selena, rage exploded inside him again. Mine. The growl inside his chest sounded almost inhuman. Beta Damien entered the chamber carefully. Alpha. Kale did not stop pacing. What? Damien crossed his arms slowly. The council leaders arrived earlier than expected. Kale cursed quietly under his breath. Perfect timing. The northern pack leaders were already paranoid about dark creatures near the borders. Now there was also a witch inside Moonfang Castle. And not just any witch. His mate. Damien watched him carefully. You need to calm down before the meeting. Kale finally stopped moving. His silver eyes lifted slowly toward Damien. I am calm. Damien looked at the cracked walls surrounding them. Neither of them spoke for a second. Then Damien sighed. Your wolf is close to the surface. Kale already knew that. The blood moon made everything worse. Especially the mate bond. Every scent. Every emotion. Every instinct became unbearable during this season. Kale walked toward the weapons table, near the far wall, and grabbed a dagger, trying to distract himself. But the second he touched the blade, another image flashed through his mind. Selena standing in the snow. Silver marks glowing beneath her skin. Wide, frightened eyes looking up at him. Desire hit him so hard he nearly crushed the dagger in his hand. Damien noticed immediately. You are attached already. Kale's jaw tightened. No. Damien raised an eyebrow. You threatened Nira in front of the entire courtyard. Silence. Kale slowly placed the dagger down. He hated that Damien was right. Every protective instinct around Selena felt unnatural in its intensity. Dangerous even. Because the more attached he became, the stronger the curse would grow. Then another growl echoed through the chamber. This time louder. More violent. Kale closed his eyes briefly. Control was slipping. Fast. Damien stepped closer carefully. You should stay away from her tonight. Kale laughed quietly without humor. I can feel her breathing from the other side of the castle. The mate bond was already becoming unbearable. And the worst part was knowing Selena felt it too. Then suddenly Kale froze. His wolf became completely alert. Danger. Kale's eyes snapped toward the chamber entrance instantly. Several warriors outside suddenly started shouting. The entire castle shook violently. Then a terrified scream echoed from above. Selena. Kale moved before thinking. The moment he shifted into wolf form, the underground chamber exploded with silver-eyed fury. Because someone had just entered Selena's room. Selena woke suddenly to the sound of breaking glass. She sat upright in bed, breathing hard while cold wind rushed through the dark room. The balcony doors were open. Snow blew violently across the floor. For one confused second, she thought she imagined the noise. Then she saw the shadow standing near the balcony, watching her. Selena's heart stopped. The figure was tall and completely covered in black clothing. Not a wolf. Not human either. Its glowing red eyes locked directly onto her. Fear shot through her chest instantly. The creature moved impossibly fast. Selena barely rolled away before claws tore through the bed where she had been lying seconds earlier. Wood exploded across the room. Selena stumbled backward, breathing hard. The creature growled low in its throat. Dark, twisted veins covered its skin while blood stained its claws. Monster. Realization hit her immediately. This was the thing killing wolves near the border. The creature lunged toward her again. Selena raised her arms instinctively. Silver light burst violently from her hands. The entire room exploded with magic. The creature crashed backward into the stone wall hard enough to crack it. Selena froze in shock. She had done that. The creature slowly stood again, growling louder now. Its red eyes filled with rage. Then suddenly the chamber doors exploded open. A massive black wolf burst into the room. Kale, pure fury radiated from him instantly. The creature barely had time to react before Kale slammed into it violently. Growls shook the entire chamber. Claws, blood, broken stone. Selena stumbled backward while the two beasts crashed through furniture and walls. Kale's wolf looked terrifying. Massive black fur, silver glowing eyes, murderous rage. The creature tried slashing towards Selena again. Big mistake. Kale tore into it instantly with brutal force. The monster screamed horribly before Kale's jaws closed around its throat. Blood covered the floor. Then silence. The creature collapsed lifeless beside the broken wall. Kale remained standing over the body, breathing heavily. His wolf was still dangerously close to losing control. Silver eyes slowly turned toward Selena. The mate bond slammed between them violently. Selena could feel his emotions now. Rage, fear, relief. Possessive instincts so strong it almost hurt. Kale slowly shifted back into human form. Blood covered his skin and dark. Pants hung low on his hips while his chest rose, heavily with each breath. Selena's heart started racing for an entirely different reason now. Kale stepped toward her immediately. "Are you hurt?" His voice sounded rough and dangerous. Selena shook her head quickly. Kale reached for her anyway, checking her arms, waist, and face carefully. Like he needed proof she was unharmed. The mate bond burned hotter with every touch. Then Kale suddenly froze, because Selena's hands were glowing again. Silver magic moved across her skin stronger than before. Kale stared at it silently. Then his eyes lifted slowly to hers. "What are you becoming?" The destroyed room smelled like blood smoke and silver magic. Selena stood frozen while Kale stared at the glowing marks spreading across her hands. Neither of them spoke for several seconds. The mate bond pulsed violently between them. Kale slowly lifted his eyes toward her face again. His silver gaze looked darker now, more dangerous. But not because of fear, because of desire. Selena could feel it clearly through the bond. Kale stepped closer carefully. Too close. Every nerve in Selena's body reacted instantly. Heat spread beneath her skin while his scent surrounded her completely. Smoke, winter, danger, and something addictive she could not escape. Kale reached for her hand slowly. The moment his fingers touched her skin, silver magic sparked between them. Both of them inhaled sharply. The connection felt almost electric. Kale's jaw tightened hard. His wolf loved this. Too much. Selena looked up at him nervously. What was that creature? Kale kept holding her hand while studying the glowing marks carefully. A dark creature. His voice sounded cold again. They disappeared centuries ago after the witch wars. Raven suddenly entered the ruined chamber behind them. The moment she saw the dead creature, her expression darkened instantly. "So it begins," she whispered. Kale released Selena's hand immediately. The loss of contact hurt more than Selena expected. Raven walked toward the dead creature slowly. Black blood spread across the floor beneath it, while dark veins covered its skin. Raven crouched beside the body. "This is not natural." Kale crossed his arms tightly. "You know what created them?" Raven looked up slowly. "Dark magic." Silence filled the room again. Kale's expression hardened immediately. "Witches." Raven stood calmly. "Not my coven." Kale looked unconvinced. The creature came for her specifically. Selena felt unease tighten inside her chest. "For me?" Raven nodded slowly. The old powers are waking because of your return. Kale looked at Selena instantly. Return. The words still sounded impossible. Selena stepped backward, trying to breathe normally. Everything kept getting worse. Magic, monsters, ancient wars. And somehow she stood in the center of it all. Kale noticed panic spreading across her face immediately. His protective instinct surged again. He moved closer before thinking. You are safe here. Selena looked up at him quietly. Safe. The word should have comforted her. Instead, it only made the mate bond tighten harder. Because part of her believed him completely. Kale's hand slowly lifted toward her face again. This time Selena did not move away. His fingers brushed softly against her cheek. The entire room disappeared around them. The bond became almost unbearable. Kale's breathing deepened slightly. Selena felt herself leaning closer without realizing it. His eyes dropped briefly toward her lips. Dangerous tension filled the air between them. Raven suddenly entered the ruined chamber behind them. The moment she saw the dead creature, her expression darkened instantly. So it begins, she whispered. Kale released Selena's hand immediately. The loss of contact hurt more than Selena expected. Raven walked toward the dead creature slowly. Black blood spread across the floor beneath it, while dark veins covered its skin. Raven crouched beside the body. This is not natural. Kale crossed his arms tightly. You know what created them? Raven looked up slowly. Dark magic. Silence filled the room again. Kale's expression hardened immediately. Witches. Raven stood calmly. Not my coven. Kale looked unconvinced. The creature came for her specifically. Selena felt unease tighten inside her chest. For me? Raven nodded slowly. The old powers are waking because of your return. Kale looked at Selena instantly. Return. The words still sounded impossible. Selena stepped backward, trying to breathe normally. Everything kept getting worse. Magic, monsters, ancient wars. And somehow she stood in the center of it all. Kale noticed panic spreading across her face immediately. His protective instinct surged again. He moved closer before thinking. You are safe here. Selena looked up at him quietly. Safe. The word should have comforted her. Instead, it only made the mate bond tighten harder. Because part of her believed him completely. Kale's hand slowly lifted toward her face again. This time Selena did not move away. His fingers brushed softly against her cheek. The entire room disappeared around them. The bond became almost unbearable. Kale's breathing deepened slightly. Selena felt herself leaning closer without realizing it. His eyes dropped briefly toward her lips. Dangerous tension filled the air between them. Then Raven cleared her throat loudly. Both of them stepped apart immediately. Raven looked far too amused. We have bigger problems than unresolved mate tension. Kale glared at her coldly. Raven ignored him completely. The council leaders will arrive within the hour. Selena frowned slightly. What council? Kale's expression darkened again. The alphas. Raven folded her arms. And they are not going to react well to a reborn witch queen inside Moonfang Castle. Then she looked directly at Selena. Especially one carrying the Alpha King's mark already. Selena's heart stopped. Kale's eyes narrowed immediately. Because neither of them had noticed the glowing silver mark now visible beneath Selena's collarbone. The castle council chamber was already filled with tension by the time Kale entered. Massive fires burned along the dark stone walls while northern Alpha leaders sat around the long black table watching him carefully. Powerful wolves. Dangerous wolves. Men who ruled entire territories. And every single one of them already knew something was wrong. Kale walked toward the head of the table without speaking. His expression remained cold, but his wolf was still dangerously unstable beneath the surface, especially after seeing the silver mark beneath Selena's collarbone. The mate mark. Too early. Far too early. That should not have happened yet. Naira stood near the far side of the chamber dressed in silver and black while several pack leaders quietly spoke with her. The moment her eyes landed on Kale, she dismissed the others immediately. You look terrible, she said softly. Kale ignored the comment. A deep voice suddenly echoed from the table. We heard there is a witch inside your castle. Alpha Marcus, leader of the Eastern Territories. Old, brutal, paranoid. Kale slowly sat down. There was an attack tonight. Another Alpha leaned forward immediately. The patrol deaths. Kale nodded once. Dark creatures crossed the border. Silence spread across the chamber instantly. Several Alphas exchanged uneasy looks. One younger Alpha laughed nervously. Dark creatures are myths. Raven's voice suddenly echoed from the entrance. No, they are not. Every wolf in the chamber turned sharply as Raven entered beside Damien. The atmosphere immediately became hostile. Growls filled the room. Several Alphas stood instantly. Witch, Marcus snarled. Raven remained completely calm. The creatures returned because ancient magic has awakened again. Naira crossed her arms coldly. And conveniently the witches return at the same time. Raven's purple eyes shifted toward her. You should be more concerned about surviving than politics. The room darkened dangerously. Kale finally spoke. Enough. Instant silence followed. Kale stood slowly from his chair. The creature attacked inside my castle. Several wolves looked shocked. No enemy had breached Moonfang territory in decades. Kale continued coldly. This is no longer just a witch problem or a wolf problem. Marcus slammed his hand against the table. Then kill the witch before more monsters appear. Rage exploded inside Kale instantly. His wolf growled violently beneath his skin. No. The single word echoed through the chamber like a threat. Every Alpha noticed the dangerous shift in his voice. Marcus stared carefully now. Realization slowly filled his expression. Then his eyes widened slightly. The witch is your mate. Silence crashed across the chamber. Naira's face went completely cold. Kale remained perfectly still. That alone confirmed everything. Whispers spread immediately across the room. Impossible. A witch mate. The Alpha King's mate. Marcus looked horrified. The moon goddess would never allow this. Raven almost smiled darkly. The moon goddess already did. Kale's patience snapped instantly. Watch your words carefully. The deadly warning silenced the chamber again. But the damage was already done. Now every Alpha leader in the north knew the truth. And judging by the fear in their eyes, many of them were already thinking the same thing. Selena had become a threat to the entire kingdom. Selena stood alone on the balcony outside her room while snow covered the mountains below. Moonfang Castle. The freezing wind should have bothered her. Instead, all she felt was the mate bond. Restless. Heavy. Emotional. Something was happening downstairs. She could feel Kale's anger through the connection like distant fire beneath her skin. The silver mark near her collarbone still glowed faintly. Every time she touched it, warmth spread through her body. Mate mark. The word still felt unreal. A sudden knock interrupted her thoughts. Before Selena answered, Raven entered quietly carrying several old leather books in her arms. You should lock your doors, Raven said calmly. Selena looked away from the mountains. I do not think locks matter anymore. Raven placed the books carefully across the table. Probably not. Selena noticed strange symbols burned into the covers. Ancient language. Magic language. Fear mixed with curiosity inside her chest. What are those? Raven opened one slowly. Your history. Selena froze. The pages showed drawings of silver symbols identical to the ones glowing beneath her skin. Then she saw her own face, or at least a woman who looked exactly like her. Silver hair, silver eyes, a crown made of moonstone. The Witch Queen. Selena stared silently at the page, while distant memories flickered painfully inside her mind. Fire, war, screaming. And Kale, always Kale. Raven studied her carefully. The memories are returning faster now. Selena swallowed hard. Why can I remember him if this happened centuries ago? Raven hesitated briefly. Because soul bonds survive death. The answer sent chills through Selena's body. Then another memory flashed through her mind suddenly. A younger Kale standing beside her beneath moonlight. His hands around her waist. His voice low against her ear. You belong to me in every lifetime. Selena grabbed the table, sharply breathing unevenly. Raven moved closer immediately. What did you see? Selena looked up slowly. He loved me before. Raven's expression softened slightly. More than anyone realized, pain tightened inside Selena's chest. Then why did he betray the witches? Raven went silent. Too silent. Selena noticed immediately. What happened? Raven looked toward the dark window. The war was more complicated than history remembers. Before Selena could ask more, the mate bond suddenly burned violently. Kale. Anger exploded through the connection hard enough to make Selena gasp. Something was wrong. Very wrong. Footsteps echoed quickly outside the room. Then the chamber doors opened hard. Kale entered breathing heavily while several warriors followed behind him. His silver eyes locked onto Selena instantly. Relief flashed across his face for one brief second. Then his expression turned deadly serious again. We are leaving. Selena frowned immediately. What happened? Kale stepped closer, lowering his voice. The council voted. Cold dread spread through Selena's chest. Kale's jaw tightened hard before he finally said the words. They want you executed before the next blood moon rises. The room fell completely silent. Selena stared at Kale while the words repeated inside her mind. They want you executed. Fear spread slowly through her chest, but strangely it was not the strongest emotion she felt. The mate bond carried Kale's emotions too. Rage, protectiveness, and something close to panic. Raven moved first. They do not have the authority. Kale's expression darkened. They believe they do. Several warriors behind him looked uneasy. None of them wanted to be standing inside this room right now. Selena forced herself to speak calmly. Why? Kale looked directly at her. Because they think your magic awakened the dark creatures. Raven scoffed softly. Idiots. Kale ignored the comment. The attacks are spreading across the northern territories already. Selena's stomach tightened. More creatures. More deaths. And somehow everyone believed she caused it. Naira's voice suddenly echoed from the hallway outside. Because she did. The room instantly tensed. Naira entered slowly, wearing a long silver coat while cold blue eyes locked directly onto Selena. Kale stepped slightly in front of Selena without realizing it. Naira noticed immediately. So did Selena. Pain flashed briefly across Naira's face before disappearing beneath calmness. The council waits downstairs, Mira said quietly. They expect an answer. Kale's jaw tightened hard. They already have my answer. Naira crossed her arms. And if the other alphas refuse to accept it? Silence. Everyone already knew what that meant. War between packs. Kale looked completely capable of starting one too. Selena suddenly understood how dangerous the situation truly was. This was bigger than her now. The northern kingdoms could split apart because of the mate bond. Naira looked towards Selena again. You should leave willingly before people die for you. The words hit harder than Selena expected. Kale's wolf reacted instantly. A low, dangerous growl filled the room. Naira held his gaze without fear. You are risking your kingdom for a witch. Kale stepped forward slowly. No. His silver eyes darkened completely. I'm protecting what belongs to me. Heat rushed through Selena's chest instantly. The mate bond nearly became unbearable. Even Naira looked shaken by the possessiveness in his voice. Kale turned towards Selena again. You are coming with me. Selena frowned slightly. Where? Kale's expression remained cold. The training grounds. Raven lifted an eyebrow. Now? Kale nodded once. If the council sees her as a threat, then she needs to learn control immediately. Selena looked down at the silver magic still flickering beneath her skin. Control. She barely understood what she was becoming. Kale stepped closer, lowering his voice enough that only she could hear. And because if another creature attacks you again, I need to know you can survive without me beside you. The words sounded calm, but Selena felt the truth beneath them through the bond. The idea of losing her terrified him. The Moonfang training grounds sat beneath, the castle hidden inside the mountain itself. Massive stone walls surrounded the underground arena while silver fire burned, along the edges casting shadows across the room. Selena walked beside Kale quietly while warriors stopped their training to stare at her. Whispers spread immediately. Witch, mate, dangerous. Kale noticed every look. His wolf hated all of them. Damien approached from the far side of the arena carrying several weapons. You were serious about this, Damien said carefully. Kale nodded once. She needs training. Selena crossed her arms slightly. I do not even know how to use magic. Raven walked behind them calmly. That is exactly why we start now. Kale turned towards Selena fully. The silver fire reflected dangerously in his eyes. Show me the magic from your room. Selena hesitated immediately. I cannot control it. Kale stepped closer. Try. The mate bond tightened painfully between them again. Selena inhaled slowly, trying to calm herself. Everyone around the arena watched carefully. Waiting. Judging. Selena closed her eyes for a second and focused on the strange heat beneath her skin. At first nothing happened. Then silver light slowly appeared across her fingertips. Gasps echoed softly around the arena. The magic grew stronger, instantly reacting to her emotions. Fear, stress, confusion. Silver flames suddenly burst across both her hands. The entire arena shook slightly. Several warriors stepped backward nervously. Kale did not move. His eyes remained locked on Selena the entire time. Good, he said quietly. Selena looked at him in disbelief. Good. No fear. No disgust. Only focus. Raven moved closer, watching the silver fire carefully. Your magic responds strongest to emotion. Selena swallowed hard, trying to steady her breathing. The flames flickered violently. Then suddenly another memory slammed into her mind. Blood covering stone floors. Kale screaming her name. Chains around her wrists. Pain exploded through Selena's head hard enough to force a cry from her throat. The magic around her burst out violently. Silver energy exploded across the arena. Warriors crashed backward. Weapons shattered. The ground cracked beneath Selena's feet. Then darkness wrapped around her instantly. Strong arms caught her before she hit the floor. Kale. Selena opened her eyes weakly. Kale held her tightly against his chest while silver energy still moved dangerously through the arena around them. His wolf was extremely close to the surface again. Easy, Kale said quietly. His deep voice moved through her like warmth. Selena grabbed his shirt, breathing unevenly. I saw something. Kale's eyes narrowed slightly. What did you see? Selena looked up at him in fear. You were there. Silence filled the arena instantly. Kale's body tensed beneath her hands. Selena's voice shook softly. You watched me die. The entire arena became silent. Even the warriors standing near the walls stopped moving. Kale stared down at Selena while her words echoed through his mind. You watched me die. His grip around her tightened slightly before he forced himself to loosen it. The mate bond reacted violently to her fear. Selena could feel it immediately. Pain, guilt, something dark buried deep inside him. Kale slowly helped her stand but kept one hand against her waist like he did not trust himself to let go completely. Raven stepped closer carefully. The memories are returning faster than expected. Kale's eyes remained fixed on Selena. What exactly did you see? Selena swallowed hard. The images still burned painfully inside her head. There was fire everywhere. Her voice sounded distant. Witches were screaming. Silver magic flickered faintly around her fingers again. And you were there. Kale's jaw tightened. Selena looked up at him slowly. You look different. Not older. Not younger. Just softer somehow. Less cold. Less broken. Selena continued quietly. You were trying to reach me. Another flash hit her mind instantly. Chains. Blood. Kale roaring in rage while warriors held him back. Selena gasped sharply. Kale noticed immediately. What else? Selena shook her head, trying to steady herself. I do not know. But deep down she knew that was not true. Part of her remembered more than she wanted to admit. Raven crossed her arms slowly. The soul remembers trauma first. Damien looked uneasy beside the arena wall. This is dangerous. Kale finally lifted his eyes toward him. Everything about this situation is dangerous. The atmosphere tightened again. Then one warrior suddenly entered the arena at a run. Alpha. Kale turned sharply. The warrior looked nervous. Another attack near the western villages. Raven cursed quietly under her breath. Kale's expression became deadly calm. How many dead? 7. Selena felt horror spread through her chest. 7 wolves. Because of those creatures. The warrior hesitated briefly before speaking again. There is more. Kale already looked irritated. What? The warrior swallowed hard. One of the survivors said the creatures were searching for someone. Silence. Kale's eyes narrowed dangerously. Who? The warrior slowly looked toward Selena. The Silver Witch. Fear moved instantly through the arena. Warriors exchanged uneasy looks. Raven's face darkened immediately. Kale's wolf growled low beneath his skin. Because now there was no doubt anymore. The creatures were hunting Selena specifically. And whatever was waking in the shadows already knew exactly where to find her. Night fell heavily across Moonfang Castle. Snowstorms covered the mountains while warriors doubled patrols along every wall and entrance. No one felt safe anymore. Not after the attacks. Not after the creatures started hunting for Selena openly. Selena sat quietly near the fireplace inside her room while Raven flipped through ancient books searching for answers. The atmosphere felt tense, uneasy. Every few minutes Selena felt Kale's emotions pulse through the mate bond again. Anger, stress, protectiveness. He had not calmed down since the training arena. Neither had she. The memory of his arms around her still burned through her mind. A sudden knock interrupted the silence. Before Selena answered, the door opened slowly. Kale entered alone. The moment he stepped inside the room, the mate bond tightened instantly. Heat spread through Selena's chest. Kale looked exhausted. His dark shirt clung slightly to his body from melted snow, while shadows darkened the area beneath his silver eyes. But despite looking tired, he still radiated dangerous power. Raven closed her book slowly. I assume this is not a social visit. Kale ignored the comment completely. We found another creature. Selena sat up immediately. Alive? Kale nodded once. It is being held beneath the castle. Raven's expression darkened. That is a terrible idea. Kale looked toward Selena. It spoke before the warriors captured it. Cold unease spread through the room instantly. Selena frowned. What did it say? Kale remained silent for one brief second too long. Then he answered. It asked for the Silver Queen. The air disappeared from Selena's lungs. Raven cursed quietly again. Kale watched Selena carefully. You know something. Selena shook her head immediately. I swear I do not. Kale moved closer slowly. The mate bond reacted violently again. His scent wrapped around her completely. Smoke, winter, danger. But underneath it all, Selena sensed concern. Real concern. Kale lowered his voice. Then why are they hunting you? Selena looked away helplessly. I do not even know who I really am anymore. The honesty in her voice hit Kale harder than expected. His wolf softened instantly around her pain. Protect her. Kale slowly crouched in front of her until their eyes met evenly. For one dangerous moment, the entire world seemed to disappear again. Only them. Only the bond. You are still Selena, Kale said quietly. The gentleness in his voice surprised both of them. Selena felt warmth spread painfully through her chest. Kale's hand slowly lifted toward her face before he stopped himself halfway. Control. Always control. Raven suddenly stood from the chair. I should leave before this room catches fire from unresolved tension. Selena's face flushed immediately. Kale glared at Raven coldly. Raven only smirked slightly before walking toward the door. Do not destroy the castle while I am gone. Then she disappeared into the hallway, leaving Selena alone with Kale. Silence filled the room instantly. Dangerous silence. The mate bond pulsed stronger now without distractions. Kale slowly stood again but did not move away. Selena looked up at him nervously. Neither of them spoke. Then Kale finally said quietly, You were afraid during the attack. Selena nodded slightly. Kale's jaw tightened. I felt it. The confession sent heat through her instantly. Because if he could feel her fear back clearly, then he had felt everything else too. Every heartbeat. Every moment she reacted to him. Kale took one slow step closer. Selena stopped breathing. You need sleep, he said quietly. But neither of them moved. And neither of them looked away. Kale stayed in Selena's room far longer than he should have. The fire crackled softly between them, while snowstorms moved outside the tall windows. Neither of them spoke. But the silence no longer felt uncomfortable. It felt dangerous. Selena sat near the fireplace, trying not to focus on how close Kale stood beside her. Trying not to notice the way the mate bond reacted every time he looked at her. Kale finally moved first. You should eat something. Selena almost smiled slightly. That sounded almost caring. Kale's silver eyes lifted toward her immediately. His expression remained unreadable. It is my responsibility to keep you alive. The answer sounded cold. But Selena felt the truth through the bond. Relief. Attachment. Need. Kale cared far more than he wanted to admit. A knock suddenly interrupted them. Damien entered quickly, looking tense. The council is demanding another meeting. Kale cursed quietly under his breath. Damien hesitated before continuing. An Alpha Lucian arrived. The atmosphere changed instantly. Raven had mentioned Lucian before. Dangerous. Powerful. Unpredictable. Kale's wolf reacted immediately with irritation. Selena noticed. Who is Lucian? Kale's expression darkened. Trouble. Damien crossed his arms. He brought half his army with him. Kale looked annoyed now. Of course he did. Selena frowned slightly. Why is that a problem? Damien answered before Kale could. Because Alpha Lucian enjoys chaos. A low laugh suddenly echoed from the hallway outside. Deep, confident, dangerous. Then a new voice spoke near the doorway. I did miss this castle. Kale's body instantly tensed. Selena turned toward the entrance as a tall, dark-haired man stepped inside the room. Everything about him radiated power. But unlike Kale's cold, dangerous energy, this man's felt smooth and reckless. Golden eyes landed directly on Selena. And stayed there. Interest flashed across his face immediately. Kale moved slightly in front of Selena without thinking. Possessive instinct. Lucian noticed instantly. Then slowly a smile appeared on his face. "Well," he said softly. "This just became interesting." The mate bond pulsed sharply between Selena and Kale. Lucian's eyes narrowed slightly. Realization hit him immediately. "No way." Kale's voice turned deadly calm. "Choose your next words carefully." But Lucian barely looked at him anymore. His attention remained completely fixed on Selena. Amusement, curiosity, and something much more dangerous filled his expression. Lucian stepped closer slowly. Selena felt Kale's rage rise instantly beside her. Then Lucian smiled directly at her. "So you are the witch everyone is terrified of." Selena held his gaze carefully. "And you are the alpha everyone warns people about." Lucian laughed softly. Kale looked 1 second away from violence. Lucian clearly enjoyed that. Then his golden eyes moved toward the silver mark beneath Selena's collarbone. His smile disappeared completely. For the first time, real shock crossed his face. The bond formed already? Silence filled the room. Lucian slowly looked back at Kale. Then he said the one thing Kale least wanted to hear. "You are falling for her much faster than you realize." The tension inside the room became unbearable. Kale's wolf pushed violently against the surface the moment Lucian spoke. "You are falling for her." Every instinct inside Kale screamed to throw Lucian through the nearest wall. Lucian noticed immediately. And smiled. Damien quietly stepped farther away from both alphas like he already expected violence. Selena looked between them carefully. The energy in the room felt dangerous now. Predatory. Lucian crossed his arms casually while studying the silver mark beneath Selena's collarbone again. "Interesting," he said softly. Kale's patience snapped. "Stop looking at her." The possessiveness in his voice filled the entire room instantly. Lucian lifted an eyebrow slowly. "Oh, this is worse than I thought." Kale stepped forward. Silver eyes dark. Jaw tight. One more word from Lucian, and the room would explode into bloodshed. But Lucian only laughed quietly. "I came here to help, not steal your mate." The word mate hit the bond hard. Selena felt heat rush through her chest instantly. Kale noticed too. His gaze flickered toward her for one dangerous second. Then Lucian's expression became serious for the first time. "The attacks are spreading south." Silence fell again. Lucian continued calmly. 3 villages destroyed near my borders." Even Kale looked surprised now. "That fast?" Lucian nodded once. "And the creatures are all asking the same question before they kill." Selena already knew the answer. The Silver Queen. Fear crawled slowly beneath her skin. Lucian finally looked directly at her again. "They are hunting you specifically." Kale moved subtly closer beside Selena. Protective instinct again. Lucian noticed everything. "The old stories were true then," he said quietly. Raven entered the room again at the worst possible moment. "The stories are always true." Lucian smirked slightly. "Witches really do enjoy dramatic entrances." Raven ignored him completely. Her eyes moved toward Kale immediately. "The creature beneath the castle is changing." Kale frowned. "What do you mean changing?" Raven's expression darkened. "It keeps repeating the same words." Cold silence filled the room instantly. Selena's stomach tightened painfully. Kale looked toward Raven carefully. "What words?" Raven slowly answered. "The queen must awaken." The mate bond pulsed sharply again. Lucian's golden eyes narrowed thoughtfully. Kale's wolf hated all of this. Too many unknowns. Too many threats surrounding Selena already. Then suddenly Selena gasped quietly. Another memory slammed violently into her mind. a throne made of silver stone, dark armies kneeling beneath moonlight, and Kale standing beside her, covered in blood while saying one sentence. I would destroy kingdoms for you. Selena grabbed the edge of the table, breathing hard. Kale reached her instantly. Selena, she looked up at him in panic. I remember more. The room became completely silent. Kale's hand tightened carefully around her arm. What did you see? Selena stared directly into his eyes. You loved me enough to start a war. No one spoke for several seconds. The only sound inside the room came from the storm outside the castle walls. Kale stared at Selena while her words echoed inside his mind. You loved me enough to start a war. Something dark moved through his chest. Not fear. Recognition. Because part of him already knew it was true. Lucien leaned casually against the wall, watching both of them carefully. This keeps getting better, he muttered. Kale ignored him completely. His full attention remained on Selena. What exactly did you remember? Selena tried to steady her breathing. The vision still burned painfully inside her head. There were armies everywhere. Silver magic flickered faintly across her fingers again. Wolves and witches. Raven moved closer quietly. And Kale. Selena looked toward him slowly. You were standing beside me. Kale's jaw tightened immediately. Selena swallowed hard. You told me you would burn kingdoms before letting anyone touch me. Silence. Lucien suddenly laughed softly. That sounds exactly like him. Kale shot him a dangerous look. Lucien only smirked wider. But Selena noticed something else now. Kale was not denying any of it. The mate bond shifted painfully again. Guilt. Deep guilt. Selena's chest tightened. You remember too? Kale looked away briefly. That alone answered her. Raven folded her arms quietly. The past bond between you is awakening. Lucien frowned slightly. Past bond? Raven nodded. They were mates in their first life. Even Lucien looked surprised by that. Kale finally spoke again. The memories are incomplete. Selena stared at him carefully. But they are real. Kale did not answer. Because yes, some memories had already returned. Silver hair beneath moonlight. Selena laughing softly against his chest. Blood covering her hands during the war. And the moment he failed to save her. The curse inside Kale twisted violently. Pain flashed across his face before he forced it away. Selena noticed immediately. What happened to us? Silence stretched again. Kale's voice turned colder when he finally answered. You died. The simple words shattered through the room. Selena felt something inside her chest ache painfully. Kale continued quietly. The witches were massacred during the final battle. Raven's expression darkened. And the Alpha bloodlines betrayed the Peace Alliance. Lucien looked between them carefully. So the old war is repeating itself. No one answered him. Because everyone in the room was thinking the same thing. Creatures returning. Ancient magic awakening. The Silver Queen reborn. And an Alpha King tied to her by fate once again. Then suddenly the castle alarms began ringing loudly through the halls. Every wolf in the room instantly tensed. Damien burst through the doorway, breathing hard. Alpha. Kale turned immediately. The eastern gates were breached. Cold fear moved through the room. Damien looked directly at Selena. The creatures are here. The entire castle erupted into chaos. Alarm bells echoed through the halls, while warriors rushed toward the eastern walls carrying weapons and silver fire torches. Kale grabbed his sword immediately. His wolf was already dangerously close to the surface. Stay inside this room, he ordered Selena. Selena stood quickly. No. Kale's silver eyes darkened. This is not a discussion. Another violent roar echoed from outside the castle walls, shaking the entire room. Selena felt fear move through the mate bond instantly. Not her fear. Kale's. He was terrified something would reach her. Lucian rolled his shoulders calmly beside the doorway. If the creatures want the Witch Queen, then locking her in a room seems pointless. Cale looked ready to kill him again. Raven stepped closer to Selena. He is right. Cale's jaw tightened hard. Absolutely not. Raven crossed her arms. She carries ancient magic and you still treat her like she is helpless. Selena noticed the conflict in Cale's expression immediately. Protective instinct fought against logic inside him. Then another explosion shook the castle. Dust fell from the ceiling. Damien cursed under his breath. They broke the first gate. Cale turned towards Selena again. The mate bond painfully between them. I need you to stay behind me, no matter what happens. The seriousness in his voice made Selena's chest tighten. Then Cale shifted instantly. Bones cracked. Dark fur exploded across his body. Within seconds, the massive black wolf stood before them. Terrifying. Beautiful. Deadly. Silver eyes locked onto Selena for one brief moment before he sprinted from the room. Lucian shifted next. His wolf form was enormous too, but unlike Cale's black fur, Lucian's was dark grey with golden eyes. Raven looked towards Selena. Stay close to us. Then chaos swallowed everything. The castle halls filled with screams, growls, and the sound of battle. Selena ran beside Raven through the corridors while warriors rushed past them toward the eastern side of the castle. The moment they reached the outer courtyard, Selena froze. Dark creatures covered the snow beneath the red moon. Dozens of them. Their red eyes glowed through the storm while black claws tore through, wolves and stone alike. Blood stained the white snow everywhere. Then Selena saw Cale. His massive black wolf ripped through the creatures with brutal force. Pure rage. Pure violence. Nothing survived once he reached it. The mate bond slammed painfully through Selena's chest. She could feel his fury like fire beneath her skin. One creature suddenly turned toward her. Then another. And another. All of them stopped fighting instantly. Red eyes locked directly onto Selena. The Silver Queen. The whisper echoed across the battlefield like a curse. Fear crawled beneath Selena's skin. The creatures began moving toward her together. Fast. Hungry. Cale noticed instantly. His wolf let out a roar so violent. The entire battlefield froze for one terrifying second. Then the Alpha King lost control completely. Cale tore through the battlefield like a monster unleashed from hell. The moment the creatures moved towards Selena, his control shattered completely. Black fur covered in blood. Silver eyes glowing with murderous rage. Every wolf near him immediately backed away in fear. Even the creatures hesitated now. Cale's wolf was no longer fighting like an alpha. He was hunting. One dark creature lunged towards Selena from the side. Cale reached it before anyone else. His jaws crushed through its throat, instantly spraying black blood across the snow. Another creature tried attacking from behind. Cale ripped it apart so violently bones scattered across the battlefield. Selena stood frozen watching him. The mate bond carried every emotion flooding through him. Rage, possession, terror at the thought of losing her. It was overwhelming. Lucian shifted back into human form beside her, breathing heavily. Your mate is insane, he muttered. Another roar exploded across the courtyard. Cale stood over several dead creatures while blood dripped from his claws into the snow. Nothing human remained in his eyes anymore. The blood moon curse was taking over. Raven noticed immediately. This is bad. Selena looked toward her quickly. What happens if he loses control completely? Raven's expression darkened. He stopped recognizing friend from enemy. Fear shot through Selena instantly. Because Cale was already becoming more violent by the second. A wounded warrior stumbled too close to him accidentally. Cale turned sharply, growling dangerously. The warrior froze in terror. Then Selena moved before thinking. Kale. The sound of her voice cut through the battlefield instantly. The massive black wolf froze. Silver eyes snapped toward her immediately. The entire courtyard became silent. Everyone watched carefully, waiting to see if the Alpha King would attack. Selena slowly stepped forward despite Raven trying to stop her. The mate bond pulled hard between them. Kale growled low in his throat but did not move. Selena could feel the curse raging inside him now. Pain, violence, darkness. But beneath all of it she still felt him. Still Kale. She stepped closer carefully. Snow crunched beneath her boots. Warriors held their breath around them. Then Kale suddenly snarled violently. A creature had appeared behind Selena. Too fast. Too close. Before anyone else could react, silver magic exploded from Selena's body. The entire battlefield lit up beneath blinding moonlight. The creature disintegrated instantly. Shock spread across the courtyard. Silver flames surrounded Selena while ancient symbols glowed across her skin brighter than ever before. The storm itself seemed to react to her power. Wind exploded violently around the castle. Every creature on the battlefield suddenly dropped to their knees. Not from fear. Submission. The Silver Queen. The whisper echoed again through the storm. Kale stared at Selena, completely motionless now. Not because of the magic. Because beneath the silver flames, she looked exactly like the woman from his memories. The queen he failed to save centuries ago. Then Selena's silver eyes slowly lifted toward him. And for the first time Kale realized something terrifying. The war from the past was truly beginning again. The battlefield remained frozen beneath the blood moon. Snowstorms swirled violently around Selena while silver flames moved across her skin like living light. Every creature still knelt before her. Even the wolves looked terrified now. Selena could barely breathe. The magic inside her felt endless, ancient, powerful, and dangerously close to consuming her completely. Voices whispered through her mind again. Queen, awaken. Rule. Selena pressed a shaking hand against her chest, trying to stay grounded. Then she looked at Kale. His massive black wolf stood, motionless across the blood-covered snow while silver eyes remained locked completely on her. Not fear. Never fear. Only recognition. Like he was seeing someone lost centuries ago. The mate bond pulsed painfully between them. Kale slowly shifted back into human form. Blood covered his skin and snow melted against the heat radiating from his body. The curse still moved violently beneath his eyes. But the moment he stepped towards Selena, the rage inside him softened slightly. Selena, his voice sounded rough, almost desperate. Selena took one unsteady step toward him. The silver flames flickered harder around her body. Raven noticed immediately. She is losing control. Lucian moved closer carefully. Can she stop this? Raven's expression darkened. I do not know. The wind exploded again. Several warriors stumbled backward, shielding their faces from the storm. Selena gasped softly. The magic hurt now. Like something ancient was trying to force itself awake inside her soul. Kale reached her just as she nearly collapsed. His arms wrapped around her instantly. The moment he touched her, the silver flames calmed slightly. Everyone noticed. So did Selena. The mate bond pulsed warmly through her chest now instead of painfully. Kale held her tightly against him, while snow moved violently around them. Look at me, he said quietly. Selena forced herself to lift her eyes. Kale's silver gaze remained steady on hers. Only hers. Focus on my voice. The deep, calm sound of him moved through the chaos inside her mind. Slowly the magic began settling beneath her skin again. The silver flames faded. The storm weakened. Until finally silence returned to the battlefield. Selena's knees almost gave out from exhaustion. Kale caught her immediately before she fell. His hand tightened against her waist possessively. Relief hit him so hard she felt it through the bond. Around them, warriors slowly lowered their weapons. Fear and confusion filled every face. Because they had all seen it now. The Silver Queen had awakened. And the Alpha King was the only one capable of calming her power. Then suddenly a weak laugh echoed across the battlefield. One surviving creature still knelt in the snow, bleeding black blood from its mouth. Its glowing red eyes lifted towards Selena slowly. "The darkness remembers you," it whispered. Raven's expression changed instantly. Kale stepped protectively in front of Selena. The creature smiled horribly. "The king is waking." Cold dread spread through the battlefield. Lucian frowned. "What king?" The creature's eyes moved towards Selena one final time. "The one you buried alive." Then its body suddenly collapsed into black ash. Silence spread across the ruined battlefield after the creature turned to ash. Snow continued falling softly over blood-stained ground while everyone processed the final words it had spoken. "The king is waking." Selena felt cold unease crawl through her chest. Kale still held her, against him protectively, but even through the mate bond she could feel tension building inside him again. Lucian looked toward Raven. "You know exactly what that meant." Raven remained unusually quiet, which worried Selena more than any answer could. Kale's voice turned dangerously cold. "Explain." Raven slowly looked towards Selena first. Then finally she spoke. "There were two rulers during the ancient war." Selena frowned slightly. "The Witch Queen and the Alpha King." Raven nodded once. "Yes." Lucian crossed his arms. "So, who is the king the creature mentioned?" Raven's expression darkened completely. "The Shadow King." The name alone made the air feel heavier. Even the wolves nearby reacted uneasily. Kale's jaw tightened. "I thought he was dead." Raven looked toward the distant mountains. So did everyone else. Selena suddenly felt another sharp pulse of pain move through her head. A memory flashed briefly. Dark underground chains. A man screaming beneath black fire. Silver magic sealing massive stone doors shut forever. Selena grabbed Kale's arm, breathing unevenly. Kale looked down instantly. "What is it?" "I saw him." Raven stepped closer immediately. "The Shadow King?" Selena nodded slowly. Fear spread through the mate bond now. Not from Kale, from herself. Because deep inside she already knew the truth before speaking it aloud. "I was the one who sealed him away." Silence crashed over the battlefield. Lucian cursed quietly under his breath. Kale stared at Selena carefully. "Why?" Another memory flickered painfully. Golden crowns. War. Dark creatures consuming entire cities. Then a man with black eyes whispering softly beside Selena's ear. "You cannot kill darkness, little queen." Selena shivered violently. "He wanted my power." Raven nodded slowly. The Shadow King was obsessed with immortality. Kale's wolf reacted instantly to the word obsessed. Protective rage surged through him again. Raven continued quietly. "When Selena refused him, he started the ancient war." Lucian frowned. "And now he is returning because she is awakened again." No one denied it. Because it was obvious now. The creatures were not attacking randomly. They were searching for Selena. For their queen. Kale suddenly wrapped his arm tighter around Selena's waist. Possessive instinct. Protective instinct. He looked toward the destroyed battlefield coldly. "Then we kill him before he fully wakes." Raven looked unconvinced. "It will not be that simple." Kale's silver eyes darkened. "It never is." Selena looked up at him quietly. Even covered in blood and surrounded by chaos, he still stood between her and every danger without hesitation. The mate bond warmed painfully inside her chest. Kale felt it immediately. His gaze dropped toward her. For one dangerous second, the battlefield disappeared around them again. Only them. Only the bond. Then Lucian smirked slightly beside them. You two really need to stop looking at each other like that during life-threatening situations. Selena looked away, instantly embarrassed. Kale glared at Lucian. Lucian only laughed softly. Then suddenly another horn echoed from the castle walls. A scout wolf sprinted across the snow toward them, breathing hard. Alpha. Kale turned immediately. The scout looked terrified. There is an army moving through the northern mountains. Cold silence fell again. Kale narrowed his eyes. What army? The scout swallowed hard. Witches. The word witches spread through the battlefield instantly. Fear, suspicion, panic. Several warriors immediately reached for their weapons again while whispers moved through the crowd. Kale's expression darkened. Raven looked genuinely surprised for the first time all night. Which armies no longer exist? The scout shook his head quickly. They carry silver banners. Selena felt unease tighten inside her chest. Silver banners. The symbol of the ancient witch kingdom. Impossible. Lucian crossed his arms thoughtfully. Looks like your people came back from the dead too. Raven ignored him completely. Kale looked toward the scout again. How far? Less than an hour from the northern gates. Perfect. Exactly what they needed. Another possible war. Kale slowly released Selena and turned toward his warriors. Prepare the castle defenses. Several wolves hesitated immediately. Against witches. No one wanted another ancient war. Kale noticed. His voice turned deadly calm. That was not a suggestion. Instant movement exploded across the battlefield. Warriors rushed toward the walls while alarms echoed across the castle again. Selena looked toward Raven quietly. Could they really be here for me? Raven's silence answered enough. Then Kale suddenly reached for Selena's hand. The touch surprised both of them. But he did not let go. His silver eyes locked onto hers seriously. You stay beside me. The possessiveness in his voice sent warmth through the mate bond again. Lucian smirked openly now. Kale ignored him. Together they moved back toward the castle, while snowstorms covered the mountains around them. The entire kingdom felt on edge, like something massive was about to happen. When they finally reached the upper walls, dozens of warriors already lined the defenses with bows and silver weapons ready. Torches burned against the storm. And Selena saw them. Far across the snow-covered mountains, dark figures moved through the blizzard, carrying glowing silver banners. An army. Real witches. The moment the leading figure stepped forward, Selena's breath caught. A woman dressed entirely in silver stood at the front of the army. Long white hair moved through the storm while glowing moon symbols covered her cloak. Power radiated from her. Ancient power. The woman slowly lifted her eyes toward the castle walls, directly toward Selena. Then to everyone's shock, every witch behind her dropped onto one knee. The woman spoke only 4 words, but her voice echoed across the mountains like thunder. The queen has returned. Silence swallowed the world. Warriors stared in disbelief. Lucian looked impressed. Raven slowly lowered her head too. Selena stood frozen, because for the first time since her magic awakened, she truly understood something terrifying. She had not only been reborn, she had been waiting centuries for a kingdom to reclaim her. No one moved on the castle walls. Snowstorms howled across the mountains, while the witch army remained kneeling beneath silver banners. The queen has returned. The words still echoed through Selena's mind. Kale stood beside her completely, silent that the mate bond carried everything he refused to show outwardly. Shock, tension, protective instinct growing stronger every second. The white-haired witch slowly stepped forward through the snow. Moon symbols glowed beneath her skin just like Selena's, but weaker. Much weaker. Raven lowered her head respectfully. Lady Seraphine. The woman finally looked toward Raven. You survived. Raven nodded once. So did you. Seraphine's silver eyes returned to Selena immediately. Emotion flashed across her face now. Relief. Disbelief. Loyalty. Then she knelt fully in the snow. Every witch behind her did the same. My queen, Seraphine said softly. Selena's chest tightened painfully. This felt wrong. Impossible. She was not a queen. She was just Selena. Kale noticed the panic rising inside her immediately. His hand brushed lightly against the small of her back, grounding her. The mate bond calmed slightly. Seraphine noticed the movement instantly. Her silver gaze shifted toward Kale carefully. The Alpha King survived too. Kale's expression remained unreadable. State your purpose, straight to the point. Always. Seraphine slowly stood again. The Shadow King's followers are moving through the northern territories. Lucien leaned casually against the stone wall nearby. We already noticed. Seraphine ignored him. She looked directly at Selena. He is searching for you. The mate bond tightened again. Kale's wolf hated hearing that. Seraphine continued quietly. When the queen awakens, the darkness awakens with her. Selena swallowed hard. So this is my fault? No. Every eye shifted toward Kale. His silver gaze remained fixed on the mountains ahead. This war started centuries before her rebirth. Seraphine studied him carefully now. You remember more than expected. Kale did not answer. Because he did remember more. Enough to know he had once failed Selena already. And he would rather die than repeat that mistake. Then suddenly movement appeared behind the witch army. One injured witch stumbled forward through the storm, breathing hard. Lady Seraphine. Fear filled her voice. Seraphine turned sharply. What happened? The witch looked horrified. The southern sanctuary has fallen. Silence crashed across the mountains. Raven's face lost all color. Seraphine stepped forward instantly. Who attacked it? The injured witch's eyes slowly moved towards Selena. Then she whispered the name. The Shadow King. Cold fear moved through the mate bond immediately. Because the way she said it made one thing terrifyingly clear. He was no longer sleeping beneath the mountains. He was already awake. The atmosphere across the castle walls changed instantly. The Shadow King was awake. Not returning. Not rising. Already awake. Fear spread quietly through both wolves and witches standing beneath the storm. Even Kale felt it through the mate bond now. Not fear for himself. Fear for Selena. Seraphine stepped closer toward the walls, her silver cloak moving violently in the wind. He should not have awakened this quickly. Raven crossed her arms tightly. The seal weakened the moment Selena's power returned. Selena's stomach tightened painfully. So I really did cause this. Kale looked at her immediately. No. The answer came sharp and immediate. Selena lifted her eyes toward him. Kale stepped closer, lowering his voice enough that only she could hear. You are not responsible for monsters choosing violence. The intensity in his voice sent warmth through her chest despite everything happening around them. Lucien watched the interaction beside them with obvious amusement. Then Seraphine suddenly spoke again. The Shadow King will come for her personally. Silence followed instantly. Kale's wolf reacted violently. Absolutely not. Kale looked towards Seraphine coldly. He will not get close to her. Seraphine studied him carefully. You cannot protect her from what he truly is. Kale's expression hardened. Try me. The storm seemed to grow heavier around the castle. Selena could feel tension building everywhere now. The war felt closer than ever. Then suddenly another sharp memory hit her. A massive underground throne room. Black fire burning across stone walls. A man sitting on a dark throne smiling at her. Beautiful. Terrifying. Immortal. The Shadow King. Selena gasped sharply, grabbing the stone wall beside her. Kale reached her instantly. What did you see? Selena struggled to breathe normally. He knows me. Raven looked alarmed immediately. What do you mean? Selena stared into the storm in horror. He loved me too. Silence. Even Lucien looked uncomfortable now. Kale's body went completely still beside her. The mate bond darkened painfully. Jealousy. Rage. Possessiveness. Selena felt all of it hit at once. Kale's voice turned dangerously quiet. Explain. Selena shook her head weakly. I do not understand it. More memories flickered painfully. The Shadow King touching her face gently, whispering promises against her skin, begging her to rule beside him forever. Then blood. So much blood. Selena closed her eyes tightly. He wanted me to become immortal with him. Raven's expression darkened completely. When you refused, he destroyed the kingdoms. Kale looked 1 second away from violence. Not toward Selena. Toward a man buried centuries beneath the mountains. Lucien slowly exhaled beside them. So we have an immortal king obsessed with the reborn witch queen. Kale's silver eyes turned cold enough to freeze the air. And if he touches her, I will kill him myself. The promise sounded less like words and more like a threat to the entire world. Selena felt the mate bond flare intensely. Because Kale meant every single word. Then suddenly the castle gates below burst open. A wounded wolf warrior stumbled into the courtyard screaming. The southern villages are burning. Chaos exploded again instantly. And somewhere deep beneath the mountains something ancient laughed softly in the darkness. Moonfang Castle barely slept that night. Warriors rushed through the halls, preparing weapons while witches reinforced the ancient, protective barriers surrounding the mountain. The entire kingdom felt like it stood on the edge of collapse. Selena stood alone near one of the high castle, windows watching fires burn in distant villages far below the mountains. Orange flames lit the dark horizon. The Shadow King was already moving faster than anyone expected. The mate bond pulsed softly inside her chest. Kale was nearby, restless, angry, unable to calm down. A quiet knock interrupted her thoughts. Before she answered, Kale entered the room alone. The moment their eyes met, the bond tightened immediately. Heat moved through Selena's body. Kale looked exhausted. Dark circles beneath silver eyes. Blood still stained parts of his black shirt from the battle earlier. But despite the exhaustion, his attention focused completely on her. Always her. For several seconds, neither of them spoke. Then Kale walked slowly toward the window beside her. The southern villages were evacuated. Selena nodded slightly. But not fast enough. Kale's jaw tightened. No. Not fast enough. Silence settled between them again. But tonight it felt heavier. More emotional. Selena finally looked toward him. You remember him too, do not you? Kale remained still beside her. Then he answered quietly. Yes. Selena's chest tightened painfully. The Shadow King. Kale nodded once. The firelight reflected dangerously in his silver eyes now. He wanted your power. Selena swallowed hard. And my love. The words slipped out before she could stop them. Kale's entire body tensed instantly. The mate bond darkened sharply with jealousy. Selena felt it immediately. Kale looked away toward the burning horizon. He was obsessed with you. The coldness in his voice barely hid the rage underneath. Selena stared at him carefully. And you were not? Silence. Dangerous silence. Kale slowly looked back at her. For 1 second, every wall around him cracked open. Emotion flashed clearly through the bond. Love, possession, fear. The intensity nearly stole Selena's breath. Kale stepped closer slowly. Too close. You already know the answer to that. His voice sounded rough now. Real. Selena's pulse quickened immediately. The mate bond became almost unbearable at this distance. Kale's hand slowly lifted toward her face. This time he did touch her. His fingers brushed gently along her cheek. Warm, careful, like she was something precious. Selena closed her eyes briefly at the feeling. The bond exploded with emotion. Kale inhaled sharply. Control was slipping again. He could feel it. The curse hated how much he wanted her. But for the first time in years, he no longer cared. Selena slowly opened her eyes. Kale was already staring at her lips. The tension between them became dangerous instantly. Then Selena whispered softly, "Kale." That was all it took. Kale kissed her. Slow at first. Careful. But the moment Selena kissed him back, the control shattered completely. The mate bond ignited like fire between them. The kiss consumed them instantly. Kale pulled Selena against him while the mate bond exploded with heat and emotion, powerful enough to make her dizzy. Everything disappeared. The war, the castle, the fear. Only him remained. His hands tightened around her waist, possessively, while his mouth moved against hers with restrained hunger, like he had spent too long denying this. Selena's fingers gripped the front of his shirt as warmth spread through every part of her body. The bond pulsed wildly between them. Need, desire, relief. Kale growled softly against her lips the moment she moved closer. The sound sent heat rushing through her instantly. His control was slipping fast. Selena could feel it clearly now. Kale finally pulled back, slightly breathing hard. Silver eyes darkened almost completely. Dangerous. Beautiful. The curse moved beneath his skin again, but this time it mixed with something else. Want. Kale rested his forehead gently against hers, trying to steady himself. You have no idea what you do to me. His voice sounded rough enough to make Selena's pulse race harder. The mate bond wrapped tightly around both of them now. Almost addictive. Selena looked up at him softly. Then stop pushing me away. Pain flickered briefly across Kale's face. His hand slid slowly against her cheek. If I lose control during blood moon season, I could hurt you. Selena shook her head immediately. You protected me tonight. Kale's jaw tightened. Barely. Selena could still remember the black wolf tearing through creatures like death itself. Terrifying. But never toward her. Never. Kale looked away briefly, like the memory disturbed him too. My father killed his mate while the curse controlled him. The confession hit Selena hard. Suddenly the fear in his eyes beside the frozen river finally made complete sense. Kale had never feared her magic. He feared himself. Selena slowly reached for his hand. The moment their fingers touched, warmth spread through the bond again. Kale looked down at her quietly. You are not your father. The words affected him more than she expected. Emotion flickered openly across his face for one dangerous second. Then Kale pulled her closer again almost instinctively. Like he needed the contact now. The bond loved every second of it. Selena rested against his chest, listening to his heartbeat while snowstorms continued outside the castle windows. For the first time since everything began, she felt safe. Kale lowered his head slightly toward hers. You should hate me. Selena frowned softly. Why would I hate you? Silence stretched too long. Then Kale answered quietly. Because in our first life I failed to save you. Pain moved through the bond instantly. Old pain. Ancient pain. Selena looked up at him carefully. You loved me. Kale's silver eyes darkened. Enough to destroy myself after you died. The honesty in his voice made her chest ache. Then suddenly the castle alarms began ringing again. Both of them froze instantly. The moment shattered. Kale cursed softly under his breath. A warrior's voice echoed from the hallway outside. Alpha, we found another breach near the lower tunnels. Kale's entire expression hardened immediately. War again. Danger again. But before stepping away, he looked back at Selena one final time. And the emotion in his eyes made one thing painfully clear. He was already too far gone where she was concerned. Kale moved through the underground tunnels with warriors, surrounding him from every side. Torches burned along the stone walls, while distant growls echoed deeper. Beneath the castle, something had entered Moonfang again. And this time it came from below. Kale's wolf remained dangerously restless after leaving Selena's room. The kiss still burned through the mate bond. He could still taste her, still feel her against him. It made control harder, much harder. Damien walked beside him carrying a silver blade. The lower guards found bodies near the old prison tunnels. Kale's expression darkened. Those tunnels had been sealed for centuries after the ancient wars. No one used them anymore, which meant something opened them from the inside. The group finally reached massive iron gates deep beneath the castle. Blood covered the stone floor nearby. Several dead warriors lay motionless against the walls, their throats torn open. Damien cursed quietly. Kale crouched beside one of the bodies, examining the wounds carefully. Claws, not wolf claws. Too large, too twisted. Then a cold voice echoed through the darkness ahead. You were weaker than the first time we fought. Every warrior instantly raised their weapons. Kale slowly stood. Silver eyes locked onto the shadows beyond the gate. A tall figure stepped forward calmly from the darkness. Black clothing, pale skin, eyes darker than night itself. Ancient power filled the tunnels instantly. The Shadow King. Kale's wolf exploded with rage. Kill him. The Shadow King smiled slightly. There he is. Damien stepped protectively beside Kale, but Kale barely noticed anyone around him now, because the man standing before him carried the exact same scent from his memories centuries ago. Blood, darkness, death. The Shadow King's gaze moved across Kale calmly. Then he smiled again. You still wear her mark. Rage crashed through Kale instantly. He attacked without warning. The tunnels exploded into chaos. Kale slammed into the Shadow King, hard enough to crack stone walls while warriors rushed forward behind him. But the Shadow King barely moved. His dark eyes almost looked amused. You always were possessive. Kale's fist collided against his jaw again. This time, dark energy burst violently through the tunnel, throwing warriors backward. The Shadow King grabbed Kale by the throat and slammed him into the wall hard enough to shake the mountain. Damien shouted. Warriors attacked. None of it mattered. The Shadow King only looked at Kale calmly. You lost her once already. The words hit harder than any weapon. Kale snarled violently, shifting partially as claws tore from his hands. You will never touch her again. For the first time, the Shadow King's expression darkened slightly. Then he leaned closer, lowering his voice. She belonged to me long before she belonged to you. The mate bond exploded with rage. Kale completely lost control. Silver, eyes turned almost black beneath the curse as his wolf surged forward violently. But before he could strike again, the Shadow King disappeared into darkness. Gone instantly. Only his voice remained echoing through the tunnels. The Queen will return to me willingly this time. Silence followed. Kale stood breathing heavily, surrounded by destroyed stone and dead silence. Then suddenly pain tore violently through the mate bond. Selena. Kale froze instantly. Fear slammed through him hard enough to steal his breath. Something was wrong. Selena woke, suddenly gasping for air. Darkness covered the room. The fire inside the fireplace had completely died. Cold air filled the chamber unnaturally fast. Something was wrong. The mate bond twisted painfully inside her chest, sending fear through every nerve in her body. Not her fear. Kale's. Selena sat up quickly, looking around the dark room. Then she saw him. A tall figure stood silently near the window watching her. Black clothing, pale skin, eyes darker than night itself. The Shadow King. Fear locked Selena's body instantly. He smiled softly the moment their eyes met. "Hello, little queen." Ancient memories crashed violently through her mind. Dark castles, black roses, his hands stained with blood while touching her face gently. Selena stumbled backward from the bed, breathing hard. "You are not real." The Shadow King tilted his head slightly. "You used to say my name very differently." The room darkened around him unnaturally. Shadows moved like living creatures beneath his feet. Selena felt silver magic flicker beneath her skin instinctively. The Shadow King noticed immediately and smiled wider. "There she is." Selena forced herself to breathe steadily. "Stay away from me." He stepped closer instead. The mate bond suddenly flared violently. Kale was coming. The Shadow King felt it too. His dark eyes softened almost sadly. "He still chases you across lifetimes." Selena's heart pounded harder. "What do you want from me?" The Shadow King stopped only inches away now. Too close. Dangerously beautiful. Dangerously powerful. "You already know." His voice lowered softly. "I want what was always mine." Rage suddenly exploded through the mate bond. "Kale." The chamber doors burst open violently. Kale entered, breathing hard with silver eyes glowing dangerously. The moment he saw the Shadow King near Selena, something inside him snapped completely. The curse surged instantly. Dark energy exploded through the room. The Shadow King looked almost amused. "You always arrive angry." Kale moved in front of Selena protectively without hesitation. His voice sounded deadly calm. "Touch her again and I will rip your heart out." The Shadow King laughed quietly. "You said that in the last lifetime too." Kale attacked instantly. The entire room exploded into chaos. Darkness and silver energy crashed violently against each other while furniture shattered across the chamber. Selena stumbled backward as the two ancient monsters fought like gods inside the room. Kale's wolf partially shifted again. Claws, fangs, pure rage. The Shadow King blocked another attack easily before his dark eyes suddenly shifted towards Selena. And for one terrifying second he stopped fighting completely. His expression changed. Shock, then obsession. The Shadow King stepped toward her, slowly whispering one sentence. "The moon goddess hid your true power from everyone." Cold fear spread through Selena's chest. Because whatever he just realized terrified even him. The room fell into a dangerous silence. Even Kale stopped moving for one brief second after hearing the Shadow King's words. "Your true power." Selena's heart pounded violently inside her chest. The Shadow King stared at her like he had just discovered something impossible. Something terrifying. Kale immediately stepped farther in front of her. Protective instinct. Possessive instinct. The Shadow King's dark eyes slowly lifted toward Kale again. Then he smiled softly. "You still do not understand what she truly is." Kale's silver eyes darkened completely. "I do not care what she is." The answer came instantly. Without hesitation. The mate bond pulsed painfully warm through Selena's chest. The Shadow King's expression changed slightly at those words. Almost disappointed. Then he looked toward Selena again. "The moon goddess sealed most of your power before your rebirth." Ancient memories flickered painfully through Selena's mind. Silver temples. Priestesses surrounding her. Moonlight burning across her skin. Pain. So much pain. Selena grabbed the edge of the bed, trying to steady herself. Kale noticed immediately. His attention shifted toward her for one dangerous second. Big mistake. The Shadow King moved instantly. Dark energy exploded across the room, throwing Kale violently into the stone wall. The entire chamber shook. Selena gasped. Kale. The Shadow King reached her before she could move. Cold fingers wrapped gently around her wrist. The moment he touched her, black shadows exploded around them. Memories crashed into Selena's mind violently. The ancient war. The Shadow King kneeling before her throne, begging her to join him. Kale standing between armies covered in blood, screaming her name. And then the truth. Selena's eyes widened in horror. She had not only been the Witch Queen, she had been something far older, far more powerful. The first daughter of the Moon Goddess herself. The Shadow King watched realization fill her face. Now you remember. Kale roared violently from across the room. Pure fury exploded through the mate bond. Before the Shadow King could react, Kale slammed into him hard enough to destroy half the chamber wall. Darkness burst violently everywhere. Selena stumbled backward, breathing unevenly, while ancient power continued, awakening beneath her skin. Silver light now covered almost her entire body. The castle itself began shaking. Outside wolves started howling wildly. The Moon Goddess bloodline was waking completely. The Shadow King laughed softly even while fighting Kale. This is exactly why they feared you, little queen. Kale ripped him away from Selena again. His voice sounded completely inhuman now. You will never touch her again. The Shadow King only smiled. Then suddenly his dark eyes shifted towards Selena one final time. When your full memories return, you will come to me willingly. Before Kale could stop him, darkness swallowed the room instantly. The Shadow King vanished. Gone. Only silence remained behind. Kale turned towards Selena immediately. Then he froze, because silver moonlight now glowed from her eyes completely. And somewhere deep inside the castle, an ancient voice whispered through every wall. The goddess has awakened. Moonfang Castle descended into chaos before sunrise. Wolves howled throughout the mountains while silver light pulsed through the castle, walls like a heartbeat. Every witch inside the kingdom immediately dropped to their knees the moment Selena's power awakened. The goddess has awakened. The whisper spread everywhere. Selena stood frozen in the destroyed chamber, trying to breathe normally, while silver energy moved beneath her skin uncontrollably. The memories would not stop. Ancient temples, wars, kings kneeling before her throne. And Kale, always Kale. Kale slowly approached her through the wreckage carefully, like she might disappear if he moved too fast. His silver eyes remained locked completely on her glowing ones. No fear, only concern. Selena, his voice grounded her instantly. The mate bond wrapped tightly around her soul, now stronger than ever before. Selena looked at him weakly. I remember things. Kale stopped directly in front of her. What things? Selena swallowed hard. The Moon Goddess, Raven and Seraphine entered the ruined room behind them. The moment they saw Selena's glowing eyes, both witches lowered their heads immediately. Reverence filled their expressions. Not fear. Worship. Seraphine spoke first. The bloodline fully awakened. Kale frowned immediately. What does that mean? Raven looked towards Selena carefully. It means she is no longer only the Witch Queen. Silence filled the room. Then Raven said the words quietly. She is the living heir of the Moon Goddess. Even Kale looked stunned now. Selena felt cold panic move through her chest. This was becoming too much. Too impossible. Kale noticed instantly. He reached for her hand carefully. The moment their skin touched, warmth spread through, the mate bond calming the chaos inside her slightly. Raven watched the interaction thoughtfully. The bond stabilizes her power. Seraphine nodded slowly. It always did. Kale looked toward them sharply. What does that mean? Raven hesitated briefly, then finally answered. In the first lifetime, your soul was created specifically to balance hers. Silence crashed through the room again. Selena stared at Kale in shock. Kale's expression darkened. You were saying the mate bond was planned. Raven nodded once. By the moon goddess herself. The weight of those words settled heavily between them. Selena slowly looked toward Kale. Not coincidence. Not fate. Creation. They had been bound together from the very beginning. Kale stepped closer unconsciously. The mate bond flared warmly again. Then suddenly pain shot violently through Selena's chest. She gasped sharply. Silver light exploded across the room. Kale caught her instantly before she collapsed. What is happening? Raven's expression turned alarmed. The awakening is incomplete. Selena grabbed Kale's shirt, tightly breathing hard. Another memory crashed through her mind. A hidden temple beneath black mountains. The Shadow King chained inside darkness. And Selena standing beside Kale crying while placing the final seal. Then a final whisper echoed through her memories. If I wake again, the Alpha King dies first. Selena's eyes snapped open in horror. Kale looked down at her immediately. What did you see? Selena felt fear unlike anything before spread through her entire body. Because this time the vision felt less like memory. And more like prophecy. The Shadow King is going to kill you. The room became completely silent after Selena's words. The Shadow King is going to kill you. Kale stared down at her while the mate bond carried every emotion she was trying to hide. Fear, panic, desperation. But Kale felt something else too. Determination. His hand tightened gently around hers. He will have to get through me first. Selena shook her head immediately. You do not understand. Another painful memory flickered through her mind. Kale covered in blood beneath collapsing temple walls. The Shadow Kings smiling while darkness consumed everything around them. Selena grabbed Kale harder. It happened before. Raven's expression darkened. The final battle. Seraphine slowly nodded. The Alpha King died protecting her during the sealing ritual. Kale looked toward the witches sharply. Died. Raven hesitated briefly. Your soul returned because of the moon goddess. Cold silence filled the ruined chamber. Kale looked back toward Selena slowly. So in our first life I failed to survive. Selena's chest tightened painfully. No. Kale lifted an eyebrow slightly. You called that surviving? The dark humor in his voice almost broke her heart. Selena stepped closer instinctively. The vision felt different this time. Kale's expression hardened immediately. Different how? Selena swallowed hard. It felt like a warning. The mate bond pulsed painfully between them. Kale could feel how terrified she truly was now. Not for herself. For him. That realization hit harder than expected. Kale slowly lifted his hand, brushing his fingers gently against her cheek. His voice lowered quietly. I'm not dying for him. Selena closed her eyes briefly at the touch. But you already did once. Kale moved closer until barely any space remained between them. Then I will change the ending this time. The certainty in his voice made the mate bond flare warmly. Raven looked away awkwardly. Lucien entered the destroyed chamber at the exact wrong moment. He stopped immediately seeing them standing so close together. Am I interrupting another emotionally intense soulmate conversation? Kale glared at him coldly. Lucien raised both hands casually. Relax, I bring terrible news. The atmosphere shifted instantly. Lucien's expression became serious. The northern barriers just collapsed. Raven cursed softly. Seraphine looked alarmed. That should not be possible. Lucien crossed his arms. The Shadow King is stronger than the old stories claimed. Kale's wolf reacted immediately. Fight. Protect. Kill. Lucien continued quietly. Dark creatures are already moving toward the outer villages again. Selena looked toward the storm outside the shattered walls. The war was spreading too fast. Too many people were already dying because of her awakening. Then suddenly another memory flashed through her mind. A hidden weapon. Silver fire buried beneath the ancient temple ruins. something powerful enough to destroy immortal darkness itself. Selena inhaled sharply. Kale noticed instantly. What is it? Selena slowly looked toward him. I remember how to stop him. Hope flickered across every face in the room. Then Selena finished softly. But it may destroy me too. Kale's entire body went still. The mate bond darkened instantly with fear and anger. No. The answer came immediately. Sharp. Absolute. Selena looked at him carefully. You do not even know the plan yet. I do not care. Kale stepped closer. His silver eyes looked almost dangerous now. If the solution ends with you dead, then we find another one. The intensity in his voice sent warmth through Selena's chest despite everything. Lucien leaned against the broken wall, quietly watching them. There is the possessive alpha again. Kale ignored him completely. Raven moved closer towards Selena. What exactly did you remember? Selena tried focusing through the painful memories still flooding her mind. There was a weapon. Silver light flickered faintly beneath her skin again. Hidden beneath the ancient temple where we sealed the Shadow King. Seraphine's expression changed immediately. The moonfire heart. Raven looked shocked. I thought it was destroyed. Selena shook her head slowly. No. More memories flashed. Silver flames burning through darkness. The Shadow King screaming. Kale holding Selena while the temple collapsed around them. Selena's breathing became uneven. The weapon was created from the moon goddess power. Lucien frowned slightly. And why would using it kill you? Silence. Selena already knew the answer before speaking it. Because it requires the blood of the goddess heir to awaken. The room fell quiet again. Kale looked 1 second away from breaking something. Absolutely not. The mate bond carried the full force of his rage now. Selena stepped closer carefully. Kale. No. His voice sounded rough. Dangerously emotional. Selena reached for his hand slowly. The moment their fingers touched, his breathing deepened slightly. But the anger remained. You are not sacrificing yourself. Selena looked up at him softly. I would do it for everyone. Kale's silver eyes locked completely onto hers. And I would destroy everyone before letting you die. Silence. Even Lucien stopped joking now. Because Kale meant every word. Raven finally spoke carefully. There may still be another way. Kale looked toward her instantly. Then find it. Raven hesitated briefly. The ancient bond between the goddess heir and the alpha king was designed to share power. Selena frowned slightly. What does that mean? Seraphine answered quietly. It means you were never meant to fight alone. Kale looked between them suspiciously. Raven continued. If the mate bond fully completes your power, and Kale's curse may stabilize each other, the atmosphere shifted immediately. Selena felt heat rush through the bond. Kale remained perfectly still. Lucien smirked slowly. Interesting solution. Kale shot him a deadly look. Lucien only looked more amused. Raven ignored them both. The complete bond could strengthen Selena enough to survive using the moonfire heart. Selena's pulse quickened. Complete bond. Kale understood exactly what the witches meant. So did Selena. The silence between them suddenly became very dangerous. Kale slowly looked toward her. The mate bond pulsed heavily, now filled with emotion and tension. Then suddenly the castle shook violently again. Everyone turned instantly. A dark roar echoed across the mountains loud enough to freeze blood. The Shadow King. Lucien's expression hardened. He found the outer barriers. Kale's wolf surged forward instantly. War was here now. And time was running out fast. Moonfang Castle prepared for war before dawn. Torches burned across the massive walls while warriors armed themselves in silence. Beneath the red blood moon, snowstorms covered the mountains, but everyone could still feel it. Darkness was coming closer. Selena stood inside the royal war chamber beside the giant map table while witches and wolves argued around her. The western villagers must be evacuated immediately. We do not have enough warriors. The creatures moved too fast. Chaos filled the room. Kale remained at the head of the table watching everything with cold focus. That Selena could still feel the tension beneath his control through the mate bond. Every few seconds his eyes found her again, checking she was still there, still safe. Lucien leaned casually against the far wall, spinning a dagger between his fingers. We are wasting time. Several alphas glared at him. Lucien ignored them. The Shadow King wants Selena alive. Raven nodded slowly. At least for now. Kale's jaw tightened instantly. The idea of anyone wanting Selena anything near obsession made his wolf furious. Seraphine looked toward the map carefully. The ancient temple sits beyond the northern ruins. Selena studied the marked location. The moment her eyes landed on it, another memory flickered painfully. Silver stairs beneath moonlight. Kale standing beside her wearing ancient black armor. The two of them kissing before battle. Warmth rushed through the mate bond instantly. Kale felt it too. His silver gaze lifted toward her slowly. Dangerous tension filled the room for one brief second. Lucien noticed immediately. Can you two stop having soulmate moments during war meetings? Damien sighed quietly. Please. Selena looked away embarrassed. Kale almost looked amused for half a second. Almost. Then the chamber doors burst open. A wounded scout stumbled inside, breathing hard. The northern defenses are gone. Silence crashed across the room. Kale stood immediately. How many creatures? The scout looked terrified. Thousands. Fear spread across the chamber instantly. Thousands. Even Lucien's expression hardened now. The scout continued shakily. And the Shadow King is leading them himself. The room went cold. Kale's wolf surged violently beneath his skin. Fight. Kill. Protect. Raven looked toward Selena immediately. He is coming for you. Selena already knew. She could feel it somehow. Like darkness itself was moving toward the castle. Then suddenly every torch inside the war chamber went out at once. Darkness swallowed the room. Several wolves growled instantly. And then a familiar voice echoed through the shadows. You should have given her back willingly. The Shadow King. Gasps spread across the chamber. Dark energy filled the room while shadows twisted unnaturally across the walls. Kale moved directly in front of Selena without hesitation. His voice turned deadly calm. You are not taking her. A low laugh echoed through the darkness. The Shadow King slowly appeared beside the war table like living shadow itself. Beautiful. Terrifying. Ancient. His dark eyes locked completely onto Selena. And for one horrifying second the entire world seemed to disappear around them. Come with me, little queen, he whispered softly. The kingdoms are already dying for you again. The war chamber exploded into chaos. Warriors instantly drew weapons, while dark magic flooded through the room like smoke. Kale's wolf surged violently beneath, his skin the moment the Shadow King spoke to Selena. Pure rage filled the mate bond. The Shadow King barely looked at anyone except her. His dark eyes moved slowly across Selena's face almost reverently, like he had searched centuries for this moment. Come willingly this time, he said softly, and I will spare the kingdoms. Kale stepped farther in front of Selena immediately. The protective instinct was almost savage now. You do not get to speak to her. The Shadow King smiled slightly. Still jealous after all these lifetimes. Kale attacked before anyone else could react. Darkness and silver fury collided violently across the chamber. The war table shattered instantly. Lucien cursed loudly while dragging several warriors away from the explosion of power. The Shadow King blocked Kale's attack easily, but his expression darkened slightly. You are weaker than before. Kale's claws slammed against dark energy hard enough to crack stone walls. I do not need full strength to kill you. The mate bond pulsed violently between Selena and Kale. She could feel everything. His rage. His fear. And underneath it all the desperate need to protect her no matter the cost. The Shadow King suddenly looked towards Selena again. Tell him the truth. Selena froze. Kale noticed immediately. What truth? The Shadow King smiled slowly. In the first war she almost chose me. Silence crashed through the chamber. Kale's body went completely still. Selena shook her head instantly. No. The Shadow King tilted his head slightly. You loved us both, little queen. Pain flashed across Selena's face. Fragments of memory crashed through her mind violently. Kale beside moonlit rivers. The Shadow King beside black roses. 2 kings. 1 heart. Kale felt the confusion through the mate bond instantly. And it nearly destroyed him. Darkness exploded around him. The curse surged dangerously close to losing control. Lucien noticed immediately. Kale. Too late. Silver eyes turned almost black beneath the blood moon curse. The Shadow King smiled darkly. There he is. Kale attacked with brutal force. This time not even the chamber survived. Stone pillars shattered while wolves and witches scrambled away from the fight. Selena could barely breathe. The mate bond hurt now. Too much rage. Too much pain. Then suddenly the Shadow King grabbed Kale by the throat and slammed him violently against the broken wall. The entire room shook. Selena moved without thinking. Stop. Silver light exploded from her body instantly. The power forced both immortal kings apart violently. Everyone froze. Selena stood in the center of the destroyed chamber glowing with silver moonlight. Ancient symbols burned across her skin. Her voice echoed unnaturally now. This war ends with me. The Shadow King's dark eyes softened instantly. Kale's expression filled with fear, because he already knew exactly what she was thinking. The Moonfire Heart. Sacrifice. Selena slowly looked toward Kale. Pain filled the mate bond between them. Then she whispered softly inside his mind alone. I am sorry. And Kale realized she planned to leave before he could stop her. Selena disappeared before anyone could reach her. Silver. Light exploded through the war chamber, blinding everyone for 1 brief second. Then she was gone. The mate bond snapped painfully through Kale's chest. Not broken, but distant. Moving away fast. No. The word tore violently from him. Kale shifted instantly. Bones cracked. Black fur exploded across his body while rage consumed every remaining piece of control. The Shadow King smiled slowly. She remembers the temple. Kale attacked him with murderous fury. This time there was no restraint left. Only rage. Only fear. The Shadow King blocked another brutal strike before dark. Energy burst through the chamber, throwing Kale across broken stone. Lucien shifted beside the remaining warriors immediately. Enough. Golden eyes glowed dangerously. We need to move. Kale shifted back, breathing hard. The mate bond still pulsed faintly. North. Selena was heading north, toward the ancient temple. Raven looked horrified. If she reaches the Moonfire Heart alone, she will try to activate it. Kale's silver eyes darkened completely. Then we stop her. The Shadow King laughed softly behind them. You are already too late. Kale moved so fast even Lucien barely reacted. His hand wrapped around the Shadow King's throat violently, slamming him against the shattered wall. Darkness cracked across the chamber. Kale's voice sounded completely inhuman now. If she dies because of you, I will tear this world apart. For 1 second, the Shadow King actually looked surprised. Then almost amused again. You truly would. Kale released him violently. Lucien, prepare the warriors. Lucien nodded, once already serious now. Damien began shouting orders through the destroyed castle. Chaos exploded everywhere again. But Kale only focused on one thing. Selena. The mate bond guided him through the storm like instinct itself. Fear burned through him stronger than ever before. Because he knew her now. And Selena would absolutely sacrifice herself to save everyone else. Raven stepped beside him quietly. There may still be another way. Kale looked toward her sharply. Then speak. Raven hesitated. The complete mate bond. Kale already knew. The witches had mentioned it before. But completing the bond during blood moon season while the curse remained unstable could be deadly. Raven looked toward the storm outside. If your souls fully merge before she uses the Moonfire heart, then her power will stabilize. Kale's jaw tightened hard. And if it fails? Raven remained silent. That answer was enough. Lucian approached them, fastening weapons across his back. The northern path is ready. Kale looked toward the mountains beyond the castle walls. Snowstorms swallowed the ancient ruins completely. Somewhere beyond them, Selena was running toward death, believing it was the only choice left. The mate bond pulsed painfully again. Sadness. Love. Goodbye. Kale froze instantly, because he felt her crying through the connection. And something inside him shattered completely. Without another word, the Alpha King ran into the storm after her. Snowstorms swallowed the northern mountains completely. Selena could barely see the ancient path ahead while freezing wind tore through her cloak. But she did not stop running. The mate bond pulsed painfully inside her chest with every step. Kale was following her. Fast, desperate. She could feel his fear clearly now. And it almost broke her. Selena wiped tears from her face angrily, while silver light flickered beneath her skin. If she stopped now, more people would die. The Shadow King would destroy the kingdoms again. She could not allow that. Not even for Kale. Ancient ruins slowly appeared through the storm ahead. Massive silver pillars broken by time. Moon symbols glowing faintly beneath snow. The temple. The moment Selena stepped onto the ancient stone path, memories slammed violently into her mind again. Kale kissing her beneath moonlight. The Shadow King begging her not to seal him away. Blood, fire, death. Selena nearly collapsed from the force of it. Then a familiar voice echoed behind her through the storm. Selena. Her heart shattered instantly. Kale. She turned slowly. The Alpha King stood several feet away, breathing hard while snow covered his black coat and dark hair. Silver eyes locked completely onto her. Pain filled them openly now. The mate bond tightened almost unbearably. Kale stepped closer carefully. Do not do this. Selena shook her head weakly. You know there is no time left. Kale reached her within seconds. His hands wrapped around her arms tightly. I will find another way. Selena looked up at him through tears. There is no other way. Rage and fear crashed through the bond immediately. Kale pulled her against him desperately. Then I will die with you. The words destroyed her completely. Selena grabbed his shirt tightly. No. Kale's forehead rested against hers while snowstorms raged around them. You think I can survive losing you again? The raw pain in his voice nearly stopped her heart. Selena felt every emotion flooding through him now. Love, terror, devotion so deep it hurt. Kale lifted her chin, gently forcing her to look at him. I spent centuries searching for your soul. His voice shook slightly for the first time. I am not losing you now. The mate bond flared violently. Silver light wrapped around both of them instinctively. Selena's breathing became uneven. Kale looked at her like she was everything. Like the entire world began and ended with her. Then he kissed her. Not soft this time. Desperate. Emotional. Like he was trying to pour every feeling inside him directly into her soul. The bond exploded completely. Silver light burst through the ruins around them while ancient symbols glowed across the temple walls. Kale pulled Selena closer, impossibly closer. And suddenly the mate bond changed. Deepened. Merge. Selena gasped against his lips as warmth flooded through every part of her body. Their souls connected fully. Ancient magic roared through the mountains. The complete mate bond. Kale slowly pulled back, breathing hard. Silver light now glowed beneath both their skin. The curse inside him felt different too. Quieter. Balanced. Selena stared at him in shock. Kale touched her face gently. There. His voice sounded softer now. We face this together. Then the ground beneath the temple suddenly shook violently. Dark laughter echoed through the ruins. The Shadow King had found them. Darkness poured across the ancient temple ruins like living smoke. The Shadow King stepped through the storm, slowly while black energy twisted around him violently. His dark eyes immediately locked onto Selena and Kale standing together beneath silver moonlight. Then his expression changed. The complete mate bond. He felt it instantly. Pain flashed across his face for the first time. Real pain. Kale moved protectively in front of Selena without hesitation. But Selena reached for his hand. Together, the bond pulsed warmly between them, now stronger than ever before. The Shadow King's voice sounded quieter when he finally spoke. So you chose him again? Selena looked directly at him. I never stopped choosing him. The words hit harder than any weapon. Darkness exploded violently around the Shadow King. The mountains shook. Kale's wolf surged forward instantly. Fight. Protect. End this. The Shadow King raised one hand slowly. Hundreds of dark creatures emerged from the storm surrounding the temple ruins from every side. Wolves and witches arriving behind Kale immediately formed battle lines. Lucian shifted beside the warriors, growling low. Raven's magic ignited silver flames across her hands. War had finally reached its ending. The Shadow King looked towards Selena one final time. You could have ruled eternity beside me. Selena stepped forward, slowly glowing silver beneath the blood moon. And you could have chosen love over destruction. Silence. Then the Shadow King smiled sadly. I was never made for love. The battle exploded instantly. Dark creatures crashed into wolves across the ruins while silver magic lit the mountains like lightning. Kale attacked first. Pure black fury collided against immortal darkness as he slammed into the Shadow King with brutal force. The mate bond connected Selena to every emotion flooding through him. Rage, love, protectiveness. She felt all of it. Selena raised her hands. Silver fire erupted across the battlefield, destroying dark creatures instantly. The witches behind her followed immediately. Moonfire burned through the storm. The ancient temple awakened fully around them. Massive silver symbols glowed beneath the snow, while the center altar slowly rose from beneath the ruins. The moonfire heart, a crystal of pure silver flame, pulsed at its center. The Shadow King saw it immediately. Fear crossed his face. Kale noticed and smiled darkly. For the first time, the immortal king looked uncertain. Selena stepped toward the altar slowly. The moonfire heart reacted to her presence instantly. Silver flames spiraled around her body. The Shadow King roared violently. No. Darkness exploded toward her. Kale intercepted it instantly. The impact threw him hard across broken stone. Selena screamed his name. The mate bond pulsed painfully. Kale struggled back to his feet, bleeding heavily now. But still alive. Still fighting. The Shadow King moved towards Selena desperately. If you awaken the heart, it will consume you. Selena's silver eyes glowed brighter. Maybe. Then she looked toward Kale and smiled softly through tears. But this time he will live. The moonfire heart exploded with light. Silver light consumed the entire mountain. The moonfire heart awakened fully beneath Selena's hands, while ancient power exploded across the battlefield like a second moon rising. Every creature screamed. Darkness itself recoiled from the light. Kale forced himself to stand, despite blood covering his body. His silver eyes locked desperately onto Selena. The mate bond burned violently now. Pain, love, fear so strong it nearly destroyed him. Selena floated slightly above the ancient altar surrounded by silver, flames and glowing symbols. She looked almost divine. The true daughter of the moon goddess. The Shadow King staggered backward, shielding his eyes from the power. No. For the first time, real terror filled his voice. Selena looked toward him sadly. It does not have to end this way. The Shadow King laughed bitterly. It ended centuries ago when you chose him. Dark creatures continued burning away. Beneath the moonfire, light while wolves and witches watched in stunned silence. Kale moved toward Selena immediately, ignoring the pain, ignoring the war. Only her mattered. The mate bond suddenly tightened painfully. Something was wrong. Selena's body trembled violently beneath the silver flames. The heart was consuming her life force. Kale felt it instantly. No. He reached the altar just as Selena cried out softly in pain. Silver cracks spread slowly beneath her skin. The moonfire heart demanded sacrifice. Kale grabbed her hand desperately. The moment their skin touched the complete mate bond reacted violently. Silver light burst between them. Raven's eyes widened instantly. The bond. Kale looked toward Selena, breathing hard. You are not doing this alone. Selena shook her head weakly. It will kill you too. Kale stepped closer until their foreheads touched. Then quietly he whispered the words that shattered her completely. I would rather die beside you than live another lifetime without you. The mate bond exploded. Ancient power surged through both of them together. Not sacrifice. Union. The moon goddess magic wrapped around there. Souls completely merging light and darkness into balance. Kale's curse screamed beneath his skin. Then slowly, unbelievably, it began breaking apart. Silver chains of magic shattered around him one by one. The blood moon curse was dying. The Shadow King stared in disbelief. Impossible. Kale lifted glowing silver eyes toward him slowly. Not cursed anymore. Not broken anymore. The Alpha King smiled coldly. You should have learned centuries ago. Darkness trembled around the battlefield. Kale stepped beside Selena, surrounded by moonlight and silver fire. We are stronger together. The final battle began. Kale and Selena attacked as one soul. Silver flames and black. Fury collided against immortal. Darkness shaking the mountains themselves. The Shadow King roared violently as the moonfire heart burned through his power. Ancient darkness cracked apart beneath moonlight. Then Selena lifted one glowing hand toward him. Her voice echoed across the world like divine judgment. This war ends now. The Shadow King looked at her one final time. Not angry anymore. Only heartbroken. Then moonfire consumed him completely. Silence fell across the mountains. The storm disappeared. Dark creatures turned to ash. Beneath silver moonlight, while the ruins of the ancient temple glowed softly around the battlefield. The war was over. Selena stood motionless beside the fading moonfire heart, breathing unevenly while silver light slowly disappeared beneath her skin. Exhaustion hit her instantly. Her knees nearly gave out. Kale caught her before she could fall. Always him. The mate bond pulsed warmly now. Balanced. Oh, Kale pulled Selena tightly against his chest, while relief crashed through him, so hard she felt it through every part of their bond. Alive. She was alive. Selena looked up at him weakly. His silver eyes no longer carried darkness beneath them. No curse. No madness. Only him. Kale brushed shaking, fingers gently against her cheek, almost like he still could not believe she was real. Then finally he laughed softly. A real laugh. The sound nearly broke Selena's heart after everything they survived. Lucian approached through the ruined battlefield covered in blood and snow. Well, that was emotionally traumatic. Selena laughed weakly despite herself. Raven rolled her eyes nearby while helping injured witches stand. Around them, wolves and witches slowly lowered their weapons. No fear remained now. Only awe, because everyone had witnessed it. The goddess heir and the Alpha King ending an immortal war together. Seraphine stepped forward first. Then she knelt. Every witch behind her followed instantly. Moments later, the wolves did the same. Even the northern alphas lowered their heads. Selena froze in shock. Kale looked completely unsurprised. Lucian smirked slightly. Looks like you two accidentally became royalty. Selena glanced toward Kale quietly. You seem very calm about this. Kale's arm tightened possessively around her waist. I was always going to put a crown on your head eventually. Heat rushed through the mate bond instantly. Lucian made a dramatic, disgusted sound. Raven laughed softly for the first time in centuries. Then Seraphine lifted her head towards Selena. The kingdoms need their queen. Silence settled gently across the ruins. Selena looked toward the mountains slowly. The world felt different now. Peaceful, but not empty. For the first time, she finally felt whole. Not broken. Not lost. Home. Kale stepped beside her, looking out across the sunrise beginning beyond the mountains. Warm golden light slowly replaced the blood moon above them. A new beginning. Selena rested her head lightly against his shoulder. We survived. Kale kissed the top of her head softly. Barely. The mate bond glowed warmly between them. Ancient. Unbreakable. Forever. And somewhere far beneath, the destroyed temple ruins, a single piece of black shadow still moved, quietly in the darkness. Watching. Waiting. The end was only the beginning.